Vikla, the mid-jungle synergy needs to be strong,
Yep.
and so far it's looked like one of the stronger points of this team. They've had some really strong early games. Obviously that game against Genji comes to mind. Let's see what they draft for here on red side, as DRX does have side selection. They will pick blue. And
Interesting Zyra ban.
yeah,
First.
that's really interesting to see. The Kalista is no surprise. The
Callie
Aurora...
on red? Kalista on red side is, sorry, on blue side is kind of crazy.
It is pretty crazy because it gives them a free Cassante ban here, which has been one of the most common B1s in Game 1 of a series. And now they could still ban the Aurora if that's a concern they have here.
So Rumble going to be leaving. And I think that like first pick Jace is feeling like an option here. Rich has definitely been gravitating to that pick recently.
He has. The Vi and the Aurora, I think, are the two big ones in this final spot here that you really have to consider. You got the Cassante ban. You didn't have to ban Kalista. They'll opt for the Vi. We'll see if UCal wants to pick up that Aurora first here. Now, Corky is up. I suggest they do not take it.
Yeah, I mean, so both LazyFeel and Diablo have played Corky twice. I mean, actually, no, it's Vikla. Vikla has played Corky twice. The teams have played Corky twice. We're just hoping that they've learned from those two mistakes, and they're just not going to do it. Ambessa being hovered here is a fun one for Rich. Still going to be a bit of a flex as well. UCal could be piloting that in the mid lane, although we haven't seen as much success for Ambessa mid as we have seen elsewhere.
That's true.
It was Fisher that was playing it. He did actually have some pretty amazing team fights. Some of those moments were pretty nice, but outside of that, it was not so good. But that's going to be the first lock-in, and Diablo going straight to Ezreal. That's a lot of comfort for him. He does like this pick, but doesn't feel like the highest priority AD carry.
Well, the Kalista is gone, but there are still really strong picks available into this. Now, lane swap does allow you to avoid some of that, but eventually you will have to pay the piper. You will have to show up to those team fights. You will have to face a Varus or an Ashe later on, and you are going to be fairly weak at level 1 trying to set up that lane swap with this. But it is a strong duo. I mean, scholastically, when you look at just those two champions in isolation, okay, cool, you got a strong bot duo. Very safe as well. The question is, how is this going to be punished? I think it's great into the Ambessa as well. It's fairly easy to position yourself to avoid getting hit by that. Kai'Sa, another option of a champion that does well into the Ezreal individually.
Yeah, so Kai'Sa and Rel just going to be the choices here. So we've got bottom lanes being locked in. It feels like a bit of an agreement here, like a pivot that they've gone with on the side of DRX. Like, seeing this immediate lock-in of the bottom lane, they just say, all right, I guess we'll lock in ours. And we're feeling pretty good about it.
Thought we might see a Varus there because Lazy feels super good at that pick. It's one of his best. But
he's very good at Kai'Sa as well, though. And with the matchup being kind of okay, then I'm feeling pretty good about this, especially paired with the Rel.
He also doesn't play that much Misfortune, so now they've taken the Rel away, so that combo is something that they don't necessarily have to worry about later on as much. Jack's going to get locked in here for clear pretty early into the Ambessa, so now we kind of have bot top locked up. It's the mid-jungle that becomes a little bit more interesting moving into the second ban phase. And the Vi is taken away, the Zyra is taken away, Skarner is taken away every game, so it's hardly needs mentioning, but I wonder where we go here. I mean, if you're worried about Rich playing the Ambessa mid, AP junglers are kind of what you're thinking about here. The Lilia is taken away. We could see a Nidalee ban as well if they really think that flex is going to come through.
Yep. Sponge as well has played a bit of Brand and stuff like this. I think that he does have pretty deep pockets when it comes to the AP choices. Does mean that UCal can then play something like a Yone, which is kind of what they're worried about, I would imagine. Sejuani, the obvious one, just with that Permafrost synergy alongside the Jack's going to be a very scary thing to deal with on the top side of the map for that 2v2.
Yeah, Xin Zhao is another top tier pick that definitely needs a look. Victor will be taken away from UCal. It's one of his iconic picks. He's already played it this season, and that is taken away. Really works well with the rest of their composition too, because they have a really good front line with the Ambessa and the Rel together. It's not a dive-oriented champion that Kai'Sa often likes to play with, but I do think the ban makes sense.
Yeah.
And, I mean, if you want to just ban Xin Zhao here, it's fairly safe.
I think the Zin's a really good option. I think just get rid of it. It's been so powerful, but instead it's going to be the Pigeon. So Vikla's Bird not going to be on the rip this time around. Would give them, like, a pretty absurd team fight.
Yeah, it's crazy with the Leona setup with Jax and then the damage output to break through those tanks and the side lane power.
Wukong's fun.
Does feel like a very Raptor pick as well.
Oh, yeah.
The Nidalee I mentioned that they didn't ban is hovered here, and Rich can just opt into playing the Ambessa mid.
I mean, yeah, so Yukao could play Ambessa, and then we could put, like, we could have the Nidalee Renekton combo. But I don't know whether Sponge has his license yet. We'll just have to see how it goes. Has he played? He hovered it once before. Yeah, he has played it.
Rich gets to play his Jace, so I guess that's where we're going.
Hang on, wait. So, Sponge is like, he hasn't died on Nidalee. He had a phenomenal game last time around. So I guess maybe we just give it to him.
I think it's going to be a pretty tricky game to play out, though, unless, you know, they end up winning lanes early. And we'll see what happens with the swap. Because I assume that Diablo's not going to be opting into laning into the Kai'Sa Rel early on. It's not an unplayable matchup by any means, but it is tougher. So Nidalee thrives when you have a lot of lane control.
Yeah.
And it looks like Yukao may, in fact, actually be playing the Jace mid, because even though Rich has liked to play it, and you mentioned how that could have been a first pick angle for them, it makes sense in mid, especially with the Taliyah lock-in. So you hold that flexibility here as DRX. Jace goes mid, play the Ambessa into the Jack's top side. You feel pretty safe because you banned the Sejuani away, right? Wukong isn't going to be that powerful at ganking pre-6. He can make an impact, but you don't feel like if you are going to go for a lane swap here that you're going to get totally boomed by this situation. And I think it'll likely be instead BNK that opts into that with the Ezreal. We'll have to wait and see. This draft here, I think, for both sides feels pretty solid, and that's relieving to me because we've had so many series here at LCK Cup where you're like, you walk into the game going, I think I already know the result, and this is not that.
No, but I think there are like very clear archetypal differences, which I really like, right? You've got like the Unga Bunga of the BNK DRX composition, and then you got more of a thinking man's pokey side lane type draft that DRX have put together, and we'll just have to see whether they can actually make that one work, right? Because they do have the wild card who has a suicide button, right? Like, we saw yesterday that if you put Kai'Sa in the hands of a young player, things can go wrong, but then they can go ever so right, as Hype proved on Brion yesterday. I hope that LazyField does have some fun things to show us on this Kai'Sa, and I hope that BNK have a much better performance here up against DRX. Let's jump into the rift for game 1.
생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift. And I do want to clarify something again that I think we're probably going to have to do like every single day. We are saying BNK.
Yes.
BFX is the tricode that's used in the game, and it stands for BNK FearX. But we just don't say that tricode when we're talking about the team. And I know that
I do it by accident sometimes.
Yeah, we all do it by accident sometimes because it's right there on the screen. I have a habit of reading stuff, which is a big problem when we're not supposed to say the thing that is on the screen. So you have to bear with us. I know it's a bit confusing, but that's just how it is.
Yeah. Now, we could talk more about that later, but I do want to mention LazyField and Andil predict the lane swap, but actually BFX, or see, I did it again.
Yeah,
that's 2 out of the 3. I told myself I get 3, I'm fired. So here we go.
Wow, we're right on the edge.
But yeah, right in the beginning of game 1. But they are actually going to be able to see clear here. Ezreal goes bottom lane. They don't know where Rich is right now because he's under turret, but going to get the reveal here as Clear finds out. But this is smart from BNK. They played the level 1 well, and they're still able to avoid the Kai'Sa. LazyField really wanted to match that lane swap and will be unsuccessful.
Yep. And of course, like, I think that DRX is kind of okay with this as well. Because, like, the early levels, the Kai'Sa isn't quite as powerful as she can be as far as, like, just being able to execute an Ezreal composition in the later stages. And so Rich, he's going to be struggling. And Clear as well is just going to try and get as much experience as he can as Andil takes a turret shot. Worth 100%. Wanting to get rid of some of the experience opportunities here from Clear. Of course, a little bit more difficult to do this year than it was last time around, but still.
So for Nidalee Atlas, there's 2 things. You know, we talked about how Sponge had a pretty good... Oh, hold up.
Speaking of Sponge, he's going to make his way in. Misses an almost point-blank spear, but it does not matter. That is still first blood. And all right, I reckon, like, if he didn't have his license after the last game, I'm giving it to him now. This man's Nidalee knows what to do. Get stuff done as quickly as you can.
I think there were some wards very near the path that Sponge took, but he was able to avoid them. So I think that's why Vikla was looking a little bit confused there on the player cam and a little bit frustrated with how that all played out. And I was going to say the 2 things about Nidalee for me are do you have winning lanes and do you have setup CC? They don't really have great CC for the Nidalee.
Yeah, the setup is really not there
really
outside
bad.
of Rel.
But if you're overextended in your lane, and I mean, Jace technically has CC, but if you're overextended, you are going to get punished. Well. And oopsie daisy there.
Speaking of punish, let's see how many dashes Rich has. And it turns out with a flash included, it's kind of 3. And he's well and truly out of there, but still, Plate's going to go over, and that is a summoner spell lost here for the DRX bottom laner, or top laner, or wherever he is now.
Yeah.
What do we want to call it? I mean, I guess we're calling it a bottom laner, because he is a bottom laner.
He is in the bottom lane at the moment.
Yeah. Is it location-based, or is it role-based, you know?
I kind of like to think it's role-based, but I'll let you do top or bottom lane this time for our top laner.
I mean, we say bot now instead of marksman. If it was marksman, it would make way more sense, but we say bot instead. As Diablo really wants to go home, and Andal really doesn't want him to go home. He's going to be successful thus far, but I think that Diablo will eventually be allowed to leave.
They got Rich's flash, and that's decent value as... take a look at this one again. So he has that ward in the banana brush.
There's that CC you were talking about.
Yeah. So it's not really like the setup that Nidalee's really looking for. She kind of wants people to be locked in place.
Yeah,
but, hey,
it's the stopping them thing that is pretty important.
But in this case, pushing them further away from safety gives Nidalee the chance to do a little bit more damage. So it still works in the end. Rich flashing there on the bottom lane, I think was scared of a flash play by Kellen and didn't want to have to risk it, but probably could have held the flash there until the Zenith played. But either way, just wants to make sure he's alive, and he likely wasn't alive if he got caught by anything, so ultimately would have had to flash either way probably, so I won't criticize him too much for that. Yeah, he is down now, that summoner. Otherwise, though, a great start here for DRX. You can see Nidalee naturally out-farming the Wukong. That's just how that matchup goes. Has that extra kill, too, so has an early burn earn, so that's going to help farm as well.
I really like, picking up the very early ring as well, making sure that if those stacks do happen to start building up, it's going to be a good time here for DRX. The snowball effect could certainly be dangerous, as Yucal able to farm very comfortably on this Jace in the mid lane with that extra setup from that first blood going over. Very, very good stuff. So like you say, DRX sitting pretty right now.
And Rich handled the lane swap a little bit better as a significant advantage in terms of farm right now. So that's going well for them. Ultimately, Diablo now still laning into Lazy Field here in the top side as we do swap back. Doesn't look like Rich is going to miss too much from that wave that's crashing down in the bottom side. Doesn't have to use his teleport, so he can actually show up to the grub fight if he needs to. Clear is walking up now because he did have that push advantage. And this is a really important and pivotal moment here for B&K. See if they can link some CC together here.
Yeah, they come on over. Sponge able to take the first one away. And even connects the spear there onto Raptor. Actually wasn't expecting that one to land because there were so many things in the way. Now, can Sponge get another little cheeky steal? Looks like the answer's going to be no because Raptor still has Smite, but now Kellen could be in trouble. Has to flash out of the way of the spear. Sponge can't make up his mind, but it looks like DRX do have this kill locked down for themselves, although Kellen just does the walk strategy and he's going to be fine. Sponge, on the other hand, not so much. About 300 health here as B&K do make their way out. That feels like a victory for B&K because they were able to get the 2 grubs.
Yeah.
But a few extra summoner spells, I guess, going down. Not really, actually.
Yeah, only Kellen having to use his.
Yeah.
And so that's
a Hex Flash. And
yeah.
So that's like, it's basically not a lot.
I actually really like how B&K set that fight up because what they were trying to do is collapse the Vicla's ult with Kellen having that flank engage angle. And if they're able to lock down a single target, not only do they get those 2 grubs, but they probably win the fight. They were unsuccessful, but they still were able to opt out and get out with the 2 grubs, only expending Leona's flash. So actually, kind of a big win for them.
Yeah, now B&K looking to grab the first dragon as well, so most of the grubs and the first Drake. That feels pretty nice, especially when it is that Hex Tech. Cloud going to be next on the menu, so no Cloud Souls, but still some pretty spicy dragon options for some souls, and that could be a win condition here for B&K. They're able to continue this game going, and I do think that as far as longevity is concerned, like this composition works a whole lot better now that level 6s have been hit. Now that we've got Cyclones and Weaver's Walls and ways to really make these team fights work in their favor, because that's where they want to be winning. I think DRX want to be winning every other way, right?
Yes. Absolutely agree. Rich in trouble.
Rich not winning in this way. He's trying to dash his way out of there. As Clear's just going to flash forward and doesn't manage to kill him. going to need an extra couple of buttons, but they trade flashes, and that is Rich having to get out of the lane. Nicely done there by Clear.
Rich is going to be able to get this honey fruit though, so I don't think he's going to lose that XP or the gold from that wave that's coming through. So ultimately, it just ends up being a trade of flash. Rich probably feels pretty okay with that, considering he was able to get out with his life there. See, the farm here is still significant of a lead for Rich, but it's not like game-ending or anything like that. As this has been one of LazyField's better laning phases. Obviously, he has the advantage in this and did play through a lane swap where he was hitting a Jax. So, you know, he is supposed to be coming out of this and feeling pretty good, but so far he has. And it's been a really quiet early game outside of that gank that we had early on. But I would give, right now, kind of the edge to BNK, like you said, because they got that Dragon Wind con stacking up, and they do end up having a composition that scales incredibly well later on. They got through the toughest part of their draft. And just have questions about where Clear goes from here, because he's not in the greatest spot on this Jax, not accelerated at all. Does have the 2 grubs, which will help him in the side lane later on, especially if they can get a few more of the second set in about 70 seconds time. Diablo is Ezreal, so the observers are concerned for him, but I'm really not.
Yeah, he's just going to be putting on some extra pressure. Knows that Kellen is making his way back, as Yukal takes a little bit of a ride here on a seismic shove, but in fact the trade is kind of fine with the assistance of the turret. Sponge looking to come on over and do the same thing again. I don't know whether that's going to be quite as successful, as it is just mid laners trading farm.
We had the gold come up for every lane, basically being, you know, DRX is winning everywhere, and that's true, especially in the jungle where First Blood stacks up half of that gold lead and then he out-farms the Wukong. But what Raptor can do in teamfights is often a lot more than what Sponge can do unless he lands some initial poke. So that's a factor that isn't going to show up in that 800 gold advantage. So we'll have to really see what happens in this first big team fight, which will likely be on these grubs here, because DRX do not want to give a Jax, you know, 4 or 5 grubs if they can help it. So they are going to commit to this fight, you have to imagine. Rich does not have teleport, so we'll have to walk up. Vikla does, so he can catch this wave and then join the fight. And I think we're going to see fireworks here. I love the position of Andil here, looking for a potential setup pick here before the fight breaks out. Also, we'll have access back to the pit because he is Rel.
Yep, so much vision as well available here. So I think that BNK is going to have to give this one up.
Looks like it.
Raptor is going to come in, clears out that control ward, as at least the first one of the grubs is going to be taken here by DRX. Andil getting some vision up and available for himself as Rich with his teleport up and available. Okay, Yukal is just getting a bit of the clear treatment as Primal Surge comes in to keep him alive. Teleport comes up towards that top side as well. That is 1 grub apiece out of these. As Vikla comes over, that should be the confirmation. As never mind, that is a max range spear to even out the grub take. And everyone is out of here. You got a Warrior Trickster to get Raptor out. Teleport's coming forward. We are committing to trying to do something. I just don't know whether it's going to be enough, as Raptor and Kellen a little bit dangerous here towards this top side, as that Shock Blast is a lot of value. Just not a lot of value that's going to be utilized at this point in time. LazyField trying to grab himself a plate, and ultimately Wolf, like, it's just an evening out of the grubs. Not really a whole lot else.
This game is not the most exciting in terms of kills, but in terms of some of the positional setups we're seeing for both of these teams, you can already see how much they've improved from week 1, as well as I feel like how teams have started to realize that you don't have to all in on every fight no matter what if you don't actually have the setup or a proper win con for said fight. And good disengage there again from BNK. Should have walked away with 4, but good steal from Sponge there with the spear.
Andil trying to walk as confusingly as possible, and it's working here as that Mystic Shot does go wide. Getting a fair bit of information. Not going to be able to take this this crab, but maybe the Banana Brush ward is going to be enough. I'll tell you what though, Clear has been pretty scary, and that could certainly be something that BNK can lean on later into the game. We were talking about DRX being able to utilize side lanes as a win condition with Jace and with Ambessa, but I mean, Jax is the guy, as Rich is going to throw his ultimate away, gives Clear the good old thumbs up. May have lured him into a false sense of security, or maybe it's just not false. Maybe you should have a sense of security, because everything kind of just going all right.
Public execution is the new chains of corruption in this tournament.
Oh, yeah, man.
Just can't hit that ability. Nobody can. Our top laners have been able to hit it, but you know, some of the other ones have not been so lucky.
I love that. Oh, the Ignite Terruption. Beautiful. That's going to guarantee a dragon here for DRX. That's going to even out their feats of strength. I guess.
Yeah, let's
as far
see
as that
Soul.
objective is concerned.
Let's see what Soul we get here. Pretty curious about it because these compositions will.
What do you reckon
affected.
it's going to be?
I'm kind of feeling Infernal off of its Ocean.
Okay. It's the opposite of Infernal, as now Clear is just going to take it easy here on this bottom side. Rich, without his first item completed just yet, of course, Eclipse feels really nice to put together.
Ocean, pretty good for both teams. No big super tanky boys on either team. Obviously, the Rel and the Ambessa are pretty tanky. The Leona, obviously, Jax can kind of be pseudo-tanky. It's like an evasion tank. But, these fights can go longer. Obviously, not ideally for DRX if that is going to be how a fight plays out, because they kind of want to burst somebody down. And if that person gets away with Ocean Soul and heals back up, that's a big problem for them.
Yep. I mean, ultimately, it feels like DRX want to not even really fight, right? It wants to be smoke and mirrors for this team. Because like you say, like, there are circles, there's AoE CC, there's all sorts of things here for BNK. And Diablo is going to be really tough to lock down. So if they can just find people, catch them unawares, and then play this side lane game, that could work out here as Andal. He's learned that one, as the Shattering Strike is going to get a flash. We'll take that trade any day of the week. Yeah,
Talia without flash is not going to be feeling good for a potential follow-up gank.
Spun. Man, Diablo really walked around that spear as it was coming out. We get the zoom in, though, as, oh my goodness, Arcane Shift coming out. Making that one work for him as True Shot Barrage does a fair bit of damage here to Lazy Feel.
That red buff onto Diablo almost spelled his demise, man.
From Ridge.
That was crazy how narrowly he escaped there without having to use his flash.
Oh, this is sneaky. Andal has the intel, as Voidseeker is his own one, so he's still lying in wait.
It's funny to watch this fight happen when there's no objective up, but I think the real objective that DRX are looking for is this top turret. They already got Vickless flash. They want to follow up, so BNK here have to opt into like grouping up around top side, making sure he doesn't get dove. Now you can see he has to back. He's uncomfortable about the situation, does get out of there, and that's going to be a wave crashing through. He could TP back, but that's also risky. Kellen has to kind of escort him back to the top lane. They don't have a lot of vision. The vision game here for DRX has been phenomenal. Andal in particular has been doing a great job, especially on the top side of the map, really controlling vision. There just hasn't really been an answer for BNK just yet, and
there's that Eclipse Shield that we were talking about. Of course, Clear, if he does manage to land a few of these in powers, things are looking good. There he goes, denies a cannon there as well, as Andal's going to come through. That time, the public execution's going to land, and Clear, does he have enough of a counter-strike? That's the question. He's burning, but it's not going to be enough. I think he ate a cookie there to make sure he stayed alive, and it worked out beautifully. Solar Flare goes entirely wide as Sponge is turning up to protect his mid laner. Kellen is actually going to take a big ride, as now Sponge able to help Lazy Field grab a kill before going down, as now Yukao coming on over to help with this one. That dive was a mistake, and DRX punish.
Now, that was a huge punish there from DRX, so the wave was cleared out early, and so much damage taken from Kellen. The collapse was super easy to play out there. Sponge does go down, but they trade it back beautifully. Clear survives because they try to give the kill over to the Ambessa, but over here things are just kind of gifted, as BNK were already so heavily indexed into playing around topside to kind of make sure that Vikla was safe, and then they decide to dive here after the Jax escapes, but just way too deep, unfortunately. Lazyfield has the shield from his ultimate, has cleanse as well. I mean, this is really Yukao helping to set this up as well. The wave is super thinned out, and you can see he goes in, pushes the Ezreal away, and now he's like, all right, well, they're still fighting down here. They're still opted in. Shot Blast connects, and then he just goes to the skies and takes a second. Big win here. 2 kills to the Jace.
Really clean Jace playing. Diablo's dead. Diablo's dead.
That didn't look like it. We'll have to wait and see.
And Clear is now in a whole host of trouble, because there is a Jace coming in. Rich might die before he gets here. His Grandmaster's Might helping him out, but Yukao's running real quick, and he's just getting thrown around there to the skies. As you said so eloquently before, I mean, he does that again, and that's another dead player on the side of BNK.
They will get the turret here, but DRX have already gotten the first one, so
maybe DRX are just a really good team, Wolf. I don't know. What is happening to our teams that have just been losing before? Well, I know this is against BNK, but DRX looking real fine in this game.
In this case, he didn't know, so he arcane shifted. He had his Leona nearby, so he felt pretty safe. This is just a deep ward. Again, incredible vision setup and warding by DRX this game. Their map plays have been just really good, and they're allowed to make these moves because of the ward setups they have, and Clear just doesn't have any idea. Gets punished here, and it feels like now DRX is running circles around a BNK that, you know, Ryu mentioned, we've been talking about it, hasn't had a very consistent voice.
Yep. And the setups just aren't quite there as cleanly as what DRX have been doing. Of course, they haven't had a lot of pressure on them, right? So there's not a lot that's stopping Andil from just orchestrating, you know, their vision layouts as he sees fit. And that's something I think BNK need to be looking out for as this year goes on, right? There is a lot of growth opportunity here for these players. A lot of them very, very young and also haven't been playing together for all that long. DRX also with a lot of information about Clear, as of course he was their star challenger player. Him and Sponge have played together in the past. You know, there is information available all over the place. And in fact, there's a lot of like challenger alumni that are now playing together on completely different teams, right? With Diablo here, Andil coming up as well. A little bit before LazyFeel's time, unfortunately for him, but certainly does feel like a bit of a return to some of our challenger games from maybe like a year or two ago.
Earlier I was saying, you know, we'd have to wait and see how the team fights play out, and that's still true because we haven't really had a standard team fight because BNK were able to, you know, sneak those grub scenarios into their favor and then kind of opt out of fights, but see what they can do to UCal here.
Yeah, Seismic Shove is going to connect. Solar Flare this time is going to work out as UCal may take one with him as, yeah, Kellen's really dead. Decent Magnet Storm is going to help take that one down as Andil, he'll claim the kill. BNK will be able to make it work, though, by being able to pick up the turret, trading 1 for 1. It's not the end of the world, but they'll give away Shelly. And DRX are going to look to push even further on this top side. As Clear, he is Jax, you know, pretty good at dealing with a dive, but as soon as that counter-strike's down, it's going to be a tough time. And LazyFeel, man, he's really starting to do some damage with those 2 items he's already put together.
Yeah, now Vikla is going to get some damage done to this turret here, but you know, you trade 1 for 1 on the bottom side, push the Jax out, get a turret here. It's not really a big enough win here for BNK, or really a win at all.
Yeah, no, because they lost the outer turret and the Rift Herald.
So it's 1 for 1, and I was gonna say, like, I still think there's real strong team fighting here for BNK, and I was saying I thought they were ahead, even though they were about 1,000 gold behind earlier because the team fighting power was there, but they've just been picked apart on the map so surgically that we just don't get to have that conversation about team fights until they can win one to get that gold back to where it should be, because right now 3,000 gold behind, it just feels unplayable.
Yeah, and some of the reasons why we were saying that team fight is so strong is because Cyclone exists, but I don't know whether it does. I haven't really seen one so far today. And so Raptor's really going to have to make his presence actually known in this game. The Wukong can be so powerful, but it has to be employed, you know, in order to get that one to happen. So right now, camping out in this brush over here. And DRX haven't given them a lot of opportunities, to be fair, right? But this voracious Otacon could do it. As now Raptor comes in, he's going to be able to get a flash out from LazyFeel. And now Raptor taking some damage here from Rich as well. The Cyclone we will see, but it's used defensively. Not really what you want, especially when there's such a big buff up and available.
Weaver's Wall also tossed in. Yeah. And, you know, Rich missed his ult because Diablo flashed it, so now the Ezreal is down flash. So everything here is a win for DRX. They have so much vision control again around this pit. Like, their warding has been so good.
Because LazyFeel's got that Rage Blade fully stacked up. It's below half health already. Kellen told to leave, given that bad news, is now Andil. He's going to flash forward. The Killer Instinct is named correctly here for LazyFeel as Vikla. He flashes to get himself out of the way, and this Otacon has not released just yet. I don't know whether they're going to take the chance, especially with Raptor in the area.
Vikla does have teleport, and they're definitely aware of that. He's going to teleport back into with full health.
Yeah.
Clear's in a dangerous position.
Yeah, and Sponge has a lot of mobility. Leap Strike used to get him back to his teammates. But they're now kind of fish in a barrel, right? They've got Shock Blast, they've got Spears, they've got Void Seekers. The poke from DRX is so dangerous. If they don't engage, they will just lose. As now Sponge is going to drive a Rift Herald for some reason. Crashes it straight into a wall, so that was obviously a bit of a mistake. It's fine. Thought it was kind of fun, sort of the idea, but now Shelly is just going to march past them. And Diablo's going to get tagged there as Kellen taking so much damage. UCal will just kill him. Sponge over the wall there as well. No safe place for this Leona to go, and Raptor took most of his health bar, incidentally, from what I kind of saw.
You know, BNK were able to kind of opt out of 2 risky fights on both grubs here in this first game, but they weren't willing to do the same about this Otacon, but they were so low on health. Sure, they stopped the Otacon, they were able to get it in a reset, but they took so much damage in doing so, they were never going to the follow-up fight, and then Kellen going in there at the end of that one was a little bit puzzling. I suppose he just wanted to make sure Vikla could get out, I guess, but ultimately will just kind of sacrifice himself. They'll still end up losing the Otacon. So watch this again. Look at where Kellen is here and where the rest of his team is getting zoned. Vikla here could set up some chain CC with him, but it's a Jace that's super fed in this game, and Vikla just, if he collapses and commits in, he'll just get crushed by the rest of DRX who already have Cryo there. So he just has to walk out, and Kellen's just left alone to die.
And he's not allowed to be up that far, right? The rest of his team, they couldn't walk through. There was just too much that they'd have to deal with. And with Rich standing in the way, Diablo cannot offer any follow-up damage, and they're completely outranged in those scenarios. DRX just really navigating what they need to do in these skirmishes so well. And they're making this more poke composition than anything else work very well.
Well, they played the early game, and they were able to get so many picks so well, in the backfire of the play topside into UCal, for example. This gave them such a gold lead that the poke composition is hitting harder than it's supposed to right now, and it just makes it so difficult for BNK.
Yeah,
and this game's all but over. I mean, now at this point, because now you've got Otacon buff, you can push out this inner turret super easily. You're already winning sides before, and win it even harder now. Baron spawns in 45 seconds. They're going to have so much vision for that. Rich may be in danger.
Rich may die, as Public Execution is going to be put on cooldown for fun, as UCal's going to be able to take an inner turret for it. Remember, that is just the Otacon buff removed. So Rich, not too worried about it. Completes his second item. Yes.
I almost have tears of joy to watch DRX go. We have Otacon. Why don't we just 1-3-1, set up a side lane?
Yeah.
And then, if somebody gets collapsed on, guess what? They reset and we get value in all 3 lanes. Finally, we're doing it. It's happening. We're not just diving mid. We don't have to just throw the wings away. Were
we expecting to learn it in this series, though?
No,
I was not.
DRX is just so smart today.
This is actually just a really beautifully played, like, poke and side lane composition. You know, the smoke and mirrors is that's just engaged from Ondil. Kellen is going to be able to Zenith's Blade, but it's a double kill for Lazy Feel, and I feel like he's putting in the work. He's named incorrectly in this particular game because this guy is doing heavy lifting in these fights. Then they know when to poke, when to like hold them at arm's length, and when to just go in.
Yeah.
And it's Andal making all of these decisions.
Andal, man, to me, he's only half KP. Well, we may have to hold our thoughts on this for a moment because we are going to have a contest here by B&K.
Yeah, True Shot Barrage comes in as Andal. That was an interesting maneuver, but I liked it. I think it was just a Hex Flash, having a bit of fun there. As very low health bars here on DRX. There's the steal from Raptor. Oh no, he still has a smite button. That Cyclone also getting so much value. Remember, Otacon, I think, is still here. No, it's just worn off. As Clear not going to be able to survive, but Diablo playing that one out very well. UCal there with an auto attack though, so he's going to be able to take him down. Baron on the rift though for B&K, and maybe this is where the house of cards starts to fall down.
I mean, this is the power of what Wukong could do in a Baron pit. Get over the wall. Cyclone is going to be a really disruptive tool. He steals the Baron and allows his team to team fight afterwards. Coming back to this play here, though, this is the measured aggression you want to see. You don't have to force it, but when you have an opportunity to play around vision and Ondil sees the angle, you go in. And Ondil, to me, has been the clear MVP of this first game. I think everyone's going to be looking at UCal's kill score, his great defense at the top side, but his vision game, his control of this Baron pit all game long has been insane. He wants to keep Raptor out. They have traps set here as well. Raptor is just like, nah, I'm going to skirt my way around, clones in and steals, and then goes in for the follow-up Cyclone play here with a sliver of health. It's a massive second one there. Is actually able to help trade his team back the win. Or
Rich
kills,
almost making that one work. Yeah. But Diablo outplays it.
Now, this is not a turnaround in this game, but that scenario could not have been any better for B&K. Like, it was likely just Baron goes over. They're going to be able to take out our inhibitors. They bought themselves some time and maybe a few more Miracle team fights. They're still significantly down on gold, but again, you couldn't have asked for a better scenario, a better result of that Baron take than what they got.
Yeah. I do want to say that DRX should not let this bother them, though. I think actually, like, forcing that Baron, keeping the tempo up as much as possible is what this composition wants to do. Absolutely. You want to be on that front foot at all times when you are a composition like this. Especially when you're running into, like I mentioned before, a bit more of an Unga Bunga style teamfight composition that wants to set up circles and make you go up in the air and be stunned and stuff like that. So I think keeping it up, keeping your foot on the gas, that's going to work out. Soul Point has already been picked up here by DRX in 1 minute until that Ocean Soul does come in. And We haven't spoken about it in quite a while because poke composition sort of like went out of vogue. But Ocean Soul has always been good for those.
Yeah.
So it lets you win the elongated fight if you're able to, you know, just keep disengaging and landing the poke where you can.
And Bessa also loves having two just standard elemental oceans in her back pocket when she's side laning into a Jax. You know, that extra health she's going to be getting when she, you know, stops interacting with him, heals it back up, then goes in for some more trades.
Yep.
It's going to feel amazing for her. And Rich has already kind of been crushing this side lane all game long, so...
Outside of when they actually 1v1, which is where Clear has been finding some decent angles, it's just not showing up. Like you say, like Rich has been keeping up in farm just fine.
Yeah,
every time we see the matchup, it feels like Clear's winning, but he's just not.
Well, it's not fair for Clear because the team has no map control. So no one can shadow him.
It's a bit unfortunate. Diablo going to get tagged there by the Void Seeker. Got some upgraded shoes from Lazy Feel as well. DNK finally being able to walk their way out onto the map. They haven't lost any turrets or anything like that. They didn't get much out of this Baron at all. And there is the Dragon. Lazy Feel going to start this one up immediately.
I love this.
Solar Flare just gets a slow onto Sponge as the Weaver's Wall comes in. Kellen not really finding very many buttons as Andal keeps Vikla out of there. That is going to confirm the Ocean Soul as True Shot Barrage not getting a lot of value. And the Void Seek also not going to connect now. Rich going for a bit of an engage as Raptor cycloning just to try and save his skin. Kellen desperately engaging, but he's going to go down. These health bars are so low. They get away from Clear so comfortably. Does Lazy Feel, and Vikla is now running away. The Shock Blast tags the cheeky monkey trying to escape. And it is only Vikla left. I think DRX are going to say goodnight to this game right here.
I think so. And what a beautiful game for DRX it was.
Dear. Okay, teleport does come through because, of course, there is no CC on the Nidalee, so you don't need to be too worried. However, all this is going to provide Vikla is the ability to watch his Nexus turrets explode. And, oh, that's a nice little immune there, but it is not going to really do too much. Both Nexus turrets in the Nexus and DRX. I just want to say, gorgeous execution of this composition.
What a great game by them. I mean, start to finish. Andal's vision control absolutely out of this world. His positioning in that last fight too, where he just steps up into everybody and says, "You have."
From DRX, they may not necessarily have as much of a clear game plan. And we've seen that Blue Side has been a lot stronger as far as formulating a draft that you really like the look of. And there was some weird stuff that happened last time around as well. Remember, it was like the Ezreal Leona were coming out immediately. And then we saw like the Leona was basically a liability throughout the game. They didn't get a lot of value out of the Ezreal blind pick, so
yeah, he was just so...
Something else is going to have to happen this time around.
Yeah, I mean, the Nidalee was accelerated, the Jace was accelerated, right? And so, you know, unfortunately for Diablo, that Ezreal 2-item spike just came a little too late to be impactful. And they never had those 5v5 fights they were looking for. Yeah. So far, the first two bans here we've already seen, Rumble and Callista. Picks like the Aurora going up in priority, though, I think, in this draft with it being Game 2.
Yeah, I feel like there's a different priority for Game 2 than there is for Game 1.
Yeah, always.
Like, I think it's actually really, really cool. You get a lot of picks out of the way, and then that opens the door for other things to come in, because now you're not going to see an Ambessa or a Jace. Like, this, the Kai'Sa Ezreal situation means that now Varus Ashe probably going to be coming up in priority as well.
The Cassante is still a big consideration. Rumble is banned as well, so... see if that one does get banned again. The Skarner is a must ban. Like, you can't let that one through, you know, period. So you have to make a tough choice in that third spot. Whether it's going to be Cassante, Aurora, or perhaps even something like Varus or Ashe.
All right, so final ban to come through now for BNK. This will decide whether we do see Varus Ashe this game, because if they ban one of them, the other one gets banned here by DRX.
Very likely.
Might be a good idea as well, to be honest, but instead it's going to be the Aurora. Like you were saying, the Game 2 priority going up, and that is going to be taken away from Yukal or Rich.
Yeah, maybe we just trade Ashe Varus and ban Cassante here, because if you ban one of the Ashe or the Varus, the other one goes through, like you said, so...
Clear is also an amazing Cassante player. I think, banning that makes a lot of sense. The Vi is the other thing that was banned away in the first game, so that could be snapped up here by Raptor.
That's true.
Things like Xayah are still up and available. Certainly going to be an opportunity here for Lazy Feel to jump on that if he wants to. I don't know whether just anyone can play the Xayah, and I don't know whether they should be picking it immediately.
No.
You do have to see the rest of the draft to see whether the value is actually going to be there.
I think the Vi first pick here makes a lot of sense. But, you know, if you go for like Vi, then they get Varus, and then Varus outranges Ashe, and there's a lot of like factors that go into this. Ashe and Vi can work really well together, though.
Yeah, true.
And so, you know, that may be where we're going here. But I think as DRX, you don't even necessarily need to lock the Ashe in right here anyways. You could wait and get some more additional information and get a strong solo lane pick with this Vi. Vi Rumble has been the biggest combo here in the LCK so far, and the Rumble is banned, so there was some hesitation on that Vi lock-in, but I think it's just such an oppressive pick.
Yeah, I don't know what the
can't
blind
give
pick is that either UCal or Rich are going to go for here.
Yeah, Cassante being banned, so one of the safer ones. Gnar has been historically fairly safe.
I mean, it is a bit of a Rich special there as well, but blind Gnar, I mean, Gnar hasn't found very much success so far in the LCK, LCK Cup, should I say. Now Clear gets to pick whatever he feels like into this champion, unless it's Ambessa and Jax. So you're not allowed to play.
Honestly, almost just preferred them taking the blind Azir that now we're going to see locked in here for Vikla, just because it's a little bit more flexible. There's not a ton of synergy between Vi and Gnar. Now, I trust DRX after watching that game one that they can play around this Gnar bar well, but for some of our lower level teams, it can be a very tricky thing to control around objective fights, and this is one more thing to think about. And so, not as big of a fan of the Gnar pick as I am this Azir. We'll see if Clear has a counter pick prepared here for this Gnar. It's like, not yet.
Yeah, not going to be coming out yet. Camille has done okay in the past. Like, there are a few things that can go toe-to-toe, but Jace is the biggest one, and that was used in the last game. So Fearless dictates you're not going to be playing that. So Xin Zhao going to be locked in for Raptor, like you say, holding on to Clear's pick for another round. And interesting. I think Sylas. For some reason, just Sylas sounds like a great idea.
It might be Sylas. You know, it's very strong into the Azir. Walking the Rakan away would be quite interesting. Kind of weakening a potential Xayah pick, but they could have just banned that instead anyways. I'm not 100% on board with this priority. I can kind of see the idea, but very risky pick. Like, a lot of this draft for DRX for me doesn't really work well together. I'm not saying that Rakan and Vi can't have synergy, but it doesn't work well with the Gnar necessarily just yet. Putting this in face-up gives opportunities for B&K to have a great response. Poppy is instantly banned.
Yeah, I don't mind it when Taliyah was played last game and Poppy can be banned on this rotation.
Yeah.
They can do it for free, so the Rakan value is likely to just be there.
Leona's
means
also
that
gone.
An enemy Xayah is almost impossible.
Yeah.
So it is going to be banned here, right? B&K should probably ban away the Lovers Duo. But it does sort of take up a ban slot and means that UCal's picks are going to be pretty wide open unless they just decide to ban things like Ahri. Like, Vi Ahri is very, very strong, so going to remove that.
Yeah, UCal could also end up opting into a victory here for some of the scaling damage, but it just doesn't really fit this composition like the Ahri does, so I think it's wise that's banned. I don't think we're going to see like a Lissandra out of him or anything crazy like that, but there are some options. Renata's a smart choice here.
Yeah,
and you know, that can be a pretty impressive setup with the Varus and the Renata, even if it's just laning into a Gnar. So
feels like a psychological thing as well, right? You know, you ban Kellen's comfortable champions so that he is going to have difficulty getting back on his feet because that first game was not his best. He's probably going to have to play Alistair now as a Kali, like you said, he's going to be banned away.
Common counter pick to the Azir. Not one I'd say UCal is as known as, or as known for as some of our other mid laners, but this gets really interesting here. You can lock the AD carry now and save that UCal final like mystery pick.
Yeah.
And the question becomes, what is going to be that AD carry? Misfortune
is,
you know, decent with the lockdown they have, especially if you can set up a really nice Gnar. Like, there is some incredible combo potential with the Rakan ultimate as well. So I'm actually on board with this one. It's going to get outranged, you know, in the early laning phase and can be outpoked, but when the setup is there, it works really well. Now, will we see something crazy here for Clear, like a GP into the Gnar? Renekton, you know, can be a tough one to play into the Gnar, but one that can, if given resources from Raptor, can win out. It's like that's what they're going to opt to. It's one of Clear's all-time favorites.
Yep. And yeah, it doesn't really speak to me like, oh, this is going to counter the Gnar, because oftentimes people pick Gnar into it.
Yeah.
In the current iteration, I think it's going to work out just fine. And in the 2v2, I think it is going to be all right as well, given the early brawling power of the Xin Zhao. As Kellen thinking about the Elise support, that will be locked in. That is so much laning power against what isn't really there as much on the side of DRX. So I think it's going to be potentially just a lane swap.
Yeah, I think we will see the lane swap for sure, but Orianna is what UCal is considering here for this final pick. Does work well with the Vi, somewhat of a ball carrier with the ultimate there, and does have some great mobility. Xerath is more fun.
Xerath is definitely more fun. That's going to give them some range as well. I was about to say, like, oh, I'm a bit worried about the low range. Well, you then just put an artillery rock guy in the mid lane, and that'll do it. That being said, I mean, Xerath was originally, back when Azir first came out, Xerath was the counter pick. This was 2015, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll give you that Xerath outranges Azir in the lane, and he's great in the lane. He is one of the least mobile champions that you could play in the mid lane into a Xin Zhao, Azir, Varus, Elise, and Renekton.
Hey, but what if you just never in shuffle range?
Sure, I guess maybe,
right?
Maybe this could work out. I think DRX have kind of a mishmash draft here that can work if it executed perfectly. I think this is one that was a lot tougher to pilot than the one we had in Game 1 that we still had some question marks about, no setup for the Nidalee, etc. They played it beautifully, so I don't want to fully doubt them. Whereas on the other side, I feel like you have a draft that's quite robust, is very proven, and very basic. The one question mark I have is how well will Kellen pilot Elise, because he was definitely the weak link for them, I would say, in a lot of those fights on the Leona in Game 1. And you cannot mess around with, especially into a Vi composition, playing too aggressively and misjudging the situation on Elise because she's incredibly squishy. She will get popped. Repel is kind of a trap. You feel safe with it, but as Beryl has showcased many times, you're probably just going to die if you make an error of positioning.
Yeah. What Beryl has also proven, though, is that you can die 10 times and still very comfortably win the game. So maybe that's what they're trying to angle for. See whether it works as we jump into the rift for Game 2. Wow, that is a very extravagant Misfortune skin. I like it. As B&K, we're going for a little bit of a gank rush there, as Rich is going to just walk away from it. Speaking of extravagant, look at UCal. My goodness, it looks like Draenei armor from the Burning Crusade.
Yeah.
Just real shiny. As, yeah, LazyField, there's just too much stuff going on there.
Well, UCal does have Comet. See what the rest of his runes are going to be here. That's going to be for laning prowess, obviously. And that is what he is looking to accomplish with this pick.
Yep.
You can snowball the game. He can follow up from so far away onto Sponge when he does go for the ultimate. Also onto Rich, if he can set up a nice Gnar.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, we scout this one out. So no lane swap. I mean, it's double lane swaps, but like ideally, I think you wanted to avoid the Elise, but they're actually going to match and go up here topside and face off against the Varus. So confident that they can actually win this one out.
Yeah, and also possible vertical jungling to come in here as well, as I believe information will go over to DRX in time for Sponge to be able to react. But I don't know.
It's so hard for Xerath to actually do anything about this, as a champion. He's like, oh, yeah, I can't hurt that Xin Zhao right now, so sorry about that.
That's all right, Kellen going aggressive, but actually a good trade on DRX's side. LazyField picking up some of that Spiderling money. Love to see that. Can't do that on the other side, right? So that's just free.
There are pings here from DRX towards where Raptor is. Now, this is something that you could do to punish the Xin Zhao.
Yeah,
this attempt.
As it turns out, they did know. Double up going to connect there onto Raptor, as we're not going to see Sponge over here to help out. Cocoon going to land, as that's an immediate cleanse from LazyField. There's no turret that's going to help them out, as the Ignite goes down onto Ando. Wind becomes lightning, and I don't think they're going to die. But this is still real bad news for DRX.
I think this is really leaning into what we did was asking for, is come into a game like this with a really good plan. And they certainly have set up the lane exactly the way they want. Raptor comes up here, and they force LazyField and Andil to respond, or else Raptor is just going to win out in the jungle, and they just can't win this 3v3. It's really not even a 3v3, as unfortunately for Sponge, he wasn't there in time. So ends up being a really nice early exchange here for B&K.
Yeah. Working out really nicely. Sponge also is like well and truly behind enemy lines right now. Won't be able to take away this blue buff just yet. As let's see what he decides to do. Not full information, but I think knows that Raptor is in the vicinity. Oh, that was so cheeky. That was so cheeky.
It's really common to let your pet get the last hit there, and he punishes that. That was actually really well played by Sponge and gets away.
Yep.
Now he's
And
got a gank opportunity.
exactly. Kellen, 50% health, as we can see here, and wants to actually go on ward, as we could see. And will he be able to find the opportunity? It looks like they're just going to give a bit of a helping hand to the wave. And that is what Sponge is after, as Raptor's going to move up. Grand Entrance going to knock up the Varus here as Raptor comes in, but the Battle Dance that Andal has is going to work out there. Repel gets Kellen out of trouble. But I think Raptor being the only one that's healthy is going to mean that this is going to go over to DRX. And they're kind of brute forcing, but it is giving them control back in this lane.
Yeah, it was really well played there by Sponge, and then they kind of turned this lane on its head. He cleared the wave super fast, put some damage through, and Kellen has to repel defensively, and now they're trying to take back control of the jungle.
Yep. Kellen moving on over, but Andal's going to be here as well. Gleaming Quill going to connect. Vikler is very low, as is Yukal, as they've been trading blows quite a lot. The Shuriman battle.
Yeah, Xerath doing what it says on the tin.
Yeah.
I always steal that phrase from you because it's one of the best caster terms I've ever heard.
I mean, it is very effective. Oh, that was not the teleport that you're looking out for. Interesting that he's taken teleport. Glad that we made a note of that, as Andal is probably dead. Yeah, he is. And so that doesn't quite work out. Diablo comes back with the items that he's looking for, and Lazyfield, standing in the brush here, is going to be okay. Gets the flash out, trades it for his. But man, Diablo is mad about what happened in game one.
Yeah.
That was some sick play.
I mean, he is willing to trade his life for first blood initially because he's like, okay, feats of strength, that's big for us, that's huge if we're able to successfully do that. I'm confident I can get that first kill. He plays that super confidently, and then Lazyfield kind of hesitates, and he's like, no, I think I win this too.
Ooh, Kellen going for a bit of a gank onto Yukal here, as he's just going to walk it off.
Yeah, that's
going to be enough.
That's the kind of power you have over this low mobility Xerath to just make a roam like this happen. And that's what extra value they got while Diablo was 1v2ing the play topside, is that Kellen can come down here and potentially make a play. Still has his flash available. Neither of the DRX bot laners have summoners. Lazyfield's getting his cleanse back in just a moment.
Ooh, Andal thinking about trying to set something up there for Yukal. Doesn't quite work out there, as Sponge going to be going back home. Still hadn't actually recalled yet, so needs to purchase some items. But that's going to mean that he's not there for when these grubs do spawn. Andal has that control ward in the pit. They know exactly what's going on. Sponge trying to get over here as quickly as possible. And Kellen has been so incredibly sneaky on this spider. That's all right. Andal and Lazyfield feeling like they have an opportunity, but I don't know whether they really want to, as that flash cocoon was not it from Kellen. Going to be able to mitigate the turret damage, and Diablo actually offers back a whole lot anyway. I think that would have meant that that's a kill, or at least a cleanse, as Raptor moves in. Swoops out this ward, actually puts down a control ward. I don't know about that one, as Raptor does have to flash. There are a lot of DRX bad guys set up here. Now the rest of his team moves over. Can this 3v3 work out? It's Kellen! Oh no, he's going to get knocked back by the Vault Breaker, and now it's a 2v3. Sponge going to have to flash to get out of the way, but the double knock-up is there from Andal. And Diablo just grabs 2 kills. The minions get mad at him, but not mad enough. And Andal, I don't even know whether you win this 1v1, buddy. That's a level 6 Diablo. He did use his ultimate in that exchange.
My man Diablo.
Oh, this guy has got the whole team on his back, my guy.
Yeah, he has really locked into this one, and he salvaged what was looking like it was going to end up being a horrendous play for B&K with just massive damage. He missed a few Qs leading into this, as we'll watch him on the teleport 1v2 now. He's in the shop, shows up. Turret shot goes through.
Oh, really nicely done. Waits for it.
Yep. And then here, he doesn't have the reset on the auto, hits the cannon to try to do so, has to flash.
Had W as well, so that was definitely a dead MF.
That was really scary.
Really good flash.
And then here, I mean, Kellen used his flash earlier to try to make that heroic play, and he whiffed it, and then didn't have his flash to escape here. But Diablo just walks forward, knows he has a damage skill. Sponge forces Sponge to flash. Lazyfield gets killed, and then he control wards here to stop the minions from being able to chase him as well.
The value was absolutely obscene from like every button. He hit like 3 people with the hail of arrows, and stacked up Blight all over the place, and then hits like 3 with the piercing arrow as well. Like, man. And he's now 1,000 gold ahead, Serrated Dirk in hand, and
Look
it's
at the
only going to
CS.
get worse.
I mean, there's no money for LazyFeel.
Yep.
He's just incredibly behind, even with 2 kills.
Yeah, Chains of Corruption comes down, and I don't know what Sponge is going to be able to do here as Andal gets on in, but Diablo, he's still at half health, and LazyFeel, he ain't doing anything about this. And yes, Andal gets out, but that is 2 very quick kills for BNK.
I mean, BNK are so ahead that they can make plays like this, but this is one of the issues I have in this composition with the Xerath is that when the Azir comes into a skirmish like this, when you're running this Renekton and Xin Zhao, like you're going to skirmish a lot in the early game, and the Xerath is kind of like, well, I don't want any part of that, by the way. I think there's a little bit too many champions that can get on top of me over there, so good luck. I'm not going to join, and that is just the Dragon going over here to BNK, and now you're looking at 2 kills on an Azir. Renekton is naturally ahead in the lane, and
yeah, this is it's all but the crying.
Would you say, Atlas, that my theory about sometimes DRX drafts get a little wonky, and then
yeah, I'm seeing that. I'm not picking up what you're putting down.
I'm not
Absolutely.
taking anything away from Diablo, who's had a phenomenal game individually, because this game could look very different if he didn't play all of those moments in the top side as incredibly well as he did. But you could see some of the pitfalls of this draft.
God.
Yeah, he's ahead.
He is. I mean, LazyFeel almost has as much money as Kellen, and UCal as well. Very poor right now, even though he has actually got some farm. I think LazyFeel may have like a plate or 2 or something like. No, he doesn't. So just was involved in a little bit more, grabbed those couple of kills, which is why he does have some money. That could look way worse if it was, Sponge that grabbed the kills or something like that. There's now Rich just trying to trade where he can. Still it's very far away from any of the items that he's looking for, as Callan setting up for this next round of grubs. Could be 6 grubs as well as completed feats of strength.
It's not a horrible choice, the Rakan priority, but it's a bit puzzling and it's a bit risky. It's not as I mean, I prio is the Corki where we're like, oh god, like that Corki game against T1 where you're like, ooh, this is just game losing before we even finish the draft. But it certainly feels very bizarre, And these are the kind of decisions we've seen DRX make sometimes that make you scratch your head a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, I think more egregious is just the blind Gnar out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, that's also weird.
Like, we don't need to make decisions like that. But Rich, of course, he does have like specific champion pools, and he wants to play certain things on certain days. And it's not his fault by any means. Things certainly went wrong elsewhere to make this game in the position that it is.
Vikla is going to make such quick work of this turret. By the way, 6 grubs for BNK, and he doesn't even have his Nashor's Tooth yet, but he just does so much. He will now have it, by the way.
Yeah, and they also they just completed feats of strength by getting first dragon as well as all of the grubs, and so we don't even see first turret blood come up on the screen as far as a feat of strength.
But they would have gotten it.
They would have got it,
as you were basically alluding to.
I kind of wish that they did do it retroactively, just because it would be nice to see all of the lights.
Yeah.
Underneath the kill score. So. Maybe we could think about doing that.
I can see it lit up yellow in my mind's eye.
Yeah, right. But I don't want to have to employ my mind's eye for that. BNK just fully in control of absolutely everything around the map right now. They are at a over 3,000 gold lead at 12 minutes. It's heading towards shellacking territory already, as LazyFeel heading towards this brush would be a mistake. Currently out of vision, though, which is important.
Well,
get that ward over.
This is going to force Sponge to come down here. And you can see UCal is trying to make a roam. And let's see how well this goes, because he's not being matched by Vikla right now.
Yeah, Andal stands his ground as Wind becomes lightning. Will allow Raptor to get in there. But this does have ult.
This Azir with Nashor's is going to get another plate all the while, while you're kind of trying to come over here and make an impact. UCal is going to lose a plate here. Doesn't actually commit to the play, and they're staving the pressure off. Technically speaking, like nobody's dying, but you're losing more money anyways. Like this plate's going down to mid, this plate's going down to bottom, and now Vikla faster on the rotation.
Yeah, you can see BNK, they are hungry for blood. The Cocoon going to miss once again, but LazyFeel just continuing to take poke damage. The volatile Spiderling comes in, that's going to help out. And they get more plates. Chains of Corruption does get the cleanse out from LazyFeel. He'll take that trade any day of the week, though, because this turret continues to go lower and lower. And all right, let's see whether Sponge can make this happen. There's the Vault Breaker flash as they try and land all the buttons, and they will be able to successfully do so. UCal Hits the ulti, that's going to work out. Andal taking a fair bit of damage as Lazy Feel is dead to a Q. And he presses the ultimate button just to clear out the minion wave.
That was scary because, you know, as
he knew that it was on cooldown for now, I guess.
I was going to say, League of Legends enthusiasts know that you can't move when you're using the bullet time ability.
Oh no, yeah, we get the zoom in.
It's okay, you got a kill. The build of UCal in this game, too, of the first Archangels, does kind of tell some of the story of how scared he is into the enemy draft.
Yeah. Okay, Raptor flash it. Sponge is really dead, guys. Super duper dead. It's going to take a little bit of time, but eventually it is going to be the hail of arrows that locks him down.
We got a little bit excited about that kill earlier and just wanted to push some additional advantages potentially, but very much overstepped the mark.
Yeah. So 3,000 turning into about 4,000 as far as the lead is concerned. Level 11 for UCal, so it has upgraded that ultimate.
The Dragon here setup for BNK is pretty good when you consider Clear also has teleport. He doesn't have to worry about a Narbar or anything like that to come over here and manage this fight. This is a really nice setup from Sponge. He has control ward here and he's able to flash, buffer his Q in, sets up the ult. Follow-up here from UCal is phenomenal. That was just really easy, really well set up there. Visera burst damage is going to be really strong.
I think
Sponge actually on Krugs.
Yeah, he didn't have the information that Raptor was there, and so was unfortunately unable to make that one work.
Yeah, this was just a bit greedy, unfortunately. Yeah. And that's another kill for Diablo. I didn't actually see initially that he was the one who picked it up.
4-0 and 2, my goodness. Building towards the next Dirk item, as well as stacking up that tier. And Lazyfield does have his Bloodthirster now complete, but this Misfortune is basically doing nothing. Decent wallop there from Rich. But you can see this gold lead is just moving up and to the right. Beautifully done. That's what a coach wants to see.
Yeah, and not a DRX coach right now, probably.
No, not that coach. Yeah,
but yes, Ryu is probably smiling.
Yeah. Ryu, and you know, as the meme dictates, he doesn't get to do that very often on the internet. So it's a good time, especially after his team hasn't found a victory. It's going to mean a whole lot. Winning game 2s, though, that's something that BNK have proven that they can do. It's winning the game 3s that's been the difficult part, or the game 2 after winning a game 1.
I'm looking at this game and I've been trying to rack my brain, like, how do DRX get back in it? And I feel like the only real angle is, like, Rich hits a crazy Gnar into the wall on, like, 3 people with a bullet time. Because I don't think that, you know, Sponge alone, he's on one of the best champs to set up a pick, is going to be able to get it done because they're significantly far behind, and some of the best pick targets you're going to have are going to be like the Elise, who may be able to repel away. Vikla should be fine.
Well,
although
Sponge is just going to dive in. That is a max range bullet time to help lock that one down. Sponge almost dies. Alright, calculated, baby. That is down to 10 health.
10 health. So I didn't think they were going to go for it, but he does ultimately just barely do it and kill while getting away. So I'll eat my words on that one. I thought Vikla was going to be fine. Had flash too, didn't use it.
Oh, Chains are up. Corruption going to land as the Mega Gnar is set up here for Rich. Doesn't get a wallop or anything like that, though. And look at Diablo. He's just standing his ground. Kellen able to land the cocoon. That's beautifully done. In goes Sponge, though. Looks for the opportunity now as Rich just smashes down Raptor. This could be the turn because somehow UCal lived. Yes, there is a Crocodile pushing on the top side, and now Kellen is going to die, but Diablo is back, and Rich was an auto attack away from dead. Clear is now going to teleport in. Can the Vault Breaker actually work out, though? That's the question, as Rich is going to be taken out. Decent knock-up from Andil, but I don't know whether Sponge is making it out of this one. Does get a Vault Breaker, and he needs another one, but it's not going to work out. The Ruthless Predator, oh, that was actually very, very cute.
It almost has flashback.
Yeah.
Oh!
Yeah, really cute stuff, but Diablo just says no. Presses Q and he's dead.
His flash was like 1 second away. Might have been able to get out there with it. Would have felt terrible about using it, but either way, didn't get it in the nick of time and is taken out. The 5th kill goes over to Diablo. We had a little bit of yakety sax on that one, I'd say, but ultimately it's still a win for BNK there at the end as UCal survived for so long. Go back to this play. I mentioned, you know, Vi single target, blow up, you know, lockdown, super important when you're behind like this. If you can find a single target, this is exactly the kind of play that DRX need to be looking for from behind. They were successful, and Diablo here putting a ton of damage in, but not quite able to finish off UCal here, even with Kellen coming over with this cocoon. The Ignite goes down as well. He's super low. He just narrowly survives here. Now you're just a bit too far forward, and this isn't going to be one of those moments where you're like, oh, there's no shot calling voice. Maybe the shot call was a little bit too firm on this one to go in, and they end up getting punished. However, with the teleport from Clear, it still ends up being a win here for BNK. I had to expend a lot of resources in order to get said win, but their gold lead affords them this play. If it was a more even game state, this probably would have felt really bad for BNK, but Clear's just like, I can TP in. We got this.
Yep.
And Sponge will ultimately go down. His flash is like 1 second away, but he still gets sniped.
Well, speaking of Clear, he is going to kill Rich. Diablo is going to die, though. That's going to be a big deal. Lots of money over to UCal. Honestly, that could be a turnaround, although it is still, close to a 5,000 gold lead at this point in time. But that is now a very, very scary Xerath.
Was it 11,000 though that BNK was ahead against Genji on and didn't win the game?
Oh, should we be doing it? Should we be doing it?
I'm just saying anything's possible, Atlas.
It is true. Don't let your dreams be dreams or something. As Clear is relatively low.
Look, if you're going to get a shutdown, onto Diablo, I think it is good that it goes to UCal.
Yes,
he's got
I agree.
6 stacks of Dark Seal. He's got a needlessly large rod in his inventory. It's going to give him a needlessly large amount of AP, and maybe that will be what helps them get back into this game. Right now, though, looking at Soul Point going over us, we'll go back to what happened here. As Rich's Narbar expires, he uses his Crush and is now unable to escape because he doesn't have Flash. So that was pretty basic there.
Yeah.
Good play from Raptor to come and punish that one. As Diablo is engaged on here.
And yeah, they throw the kitchen sink at him. And UCal lands all of his ultimate buttons. And he is going to be okay. All right. We have Artican on the bottom side of the map. Andal trying to make his way in. Doesn't actually get there. They do have information, but do they have access?
Narbar here for Rich is pretty big, but doesn't have Flash.
Oh, actually, the Narbar control is really good. Unable to get the transformation as he makes his way in, but in goes Andil! They blow up the jungler! Sponge is in the pit! Can they kill him before it goes down? Oh my god! Artican is secured by Diablo, of all people! And now it is elementary. They'll take down Rich as well. It was so close to being good, and then it was a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, if this was an even game state again, I keep saying that, but I feel like DRX are fighting these fights out pretty well. The Narbar was optimal.
He smote it to 25 health.
Yeah.
That's not even game state. That's just, you missed a smite.
Yeah. Well, I mean, old Smite would have maybe matched was, but
oh, yeah, he would have had an extra level or something. No, it doesn't even work anymore.
But, like, the situation here for DRX, I mean, the peel for Lazy Feel as well.
100 damage.
And if he sacrifices himself and gets the smite, then maybe they actually just commit, further into this fight. Probably not, because I don't think you win it. But they can get out, they'll have their wings right. But fortunately for them, it's BNK who end up winning that fight. And that was with everything going right for DRX. Sponge being able to get in there to smite with the nice engage from Mondil, with Rich having his Narbar, and they still can't win it. And now it's looking pretty doomed.
Yep, they need the wave clear to get over here. Thankfully, good old Xerath does have a lot of that, as BNK don't care about it that much because they have 6 grubs, and so they can just stand there.
Vicla's really finding out, he's like, how strong is Borg right now?
Yeah. That turns out not quite as strong as maybe we once thought. There's Andal moving over. A possible little engage here on the side. Cease and desist coming on in. As UCal going to be out off for the damage. And there it is. Just rains down a bunch of arcane stuff on the Crocodile. And they'll sacrifice inner turret and inhibitor turret for it. And it's not worth. Vikla throws an ultimate to Narnia, but that's where it can go. It doesn't really matter too much. He's going to be sent home once again. Lazyfield almost dead, and every kill the BNK gets is a big deal. Diablo will go down. I don't think Raptor's getting too much more here, as there are 4 bad guys around him, and Lazyfield is just dead. My god, man. Because remember, it's 100 gold and some blood petals or something if they go down, but the kills onto DRX, they stick.
Yeah, they really do. Yeah, this looks initially like, oh man, looks like maybe Clear made a big error going back in here. Doesn't have his dominance just yet. You can see it's coming back, but he gets picked, but all the while they're pushing mid. And this is the same sort of thing we saw Rich do in the side last game, where we're starting to see teams actually use Otacon correctly,
Yeah.
Super deep, like that gets something extra valuable. Now, Vikla missing his shuffle here is actually pretty huge, because it's probably what's going to cost them getting this inhibitor, but like you said, trading some kills back here for the Wings is absolutely fine. Raptor gets on top of Lazy Feel here and is going to be able to take him out. Kellen is okay somehow.
Yeah, it's just walking up. There are some bounties live on the map, and DRX didn't lose their inhibitor, which is kind of a big deal. They did lose every turret in the mid lane.
I think Vikla did have his withdraw available, but didn't opt to teleport in, which I think was the right call. So he still has TP, he still has flash, and he's pushing hard.
Interruption going wide as Yukal has to flash. Yep, Handle able to battle dance his way out, but it's looking dangerous. Every time anyone gets close to these DRX members, I'm just expecting them to die.
Yeah, I mean, they're on such a clock here, too. They have to find some sort of pick, but there's just no control. There's no vision for them. It's all wiped away. Vikla gets another turret down here. It's just hard side laning. Didn't even use his TP to get here. So he's got both summoners. He's got a turret down. He's just really hitting so hard at this point in the game. And we've seen some of these games where, you know, Yukal is playing well, but his team is losing, and he's playing Xerath into this draft, so it's really hard to have a KDA like what he has and also do the damage he has. It's been really set up well by Sponge, but it's just too little too late, I think, in some of these exchanges, unfortunately, for him to come back and win this one. There may be some miracle fight they can take, though. Again, we've seen some near miracles. We almost saw the Otacon steal from Sponge, was just a few health off. This Ocean Soul here is all but assured, though, for BNK. They have so much vision control here, and they're just not giving up the prio. Sponge going in.
Yep, looking at Diablo. They will be able to get on top of him. Will they be able to get the kill? That's the question. Okay, Vault Breaker's going to do it. Kellen is extremely low. The bullet time says good night, and Kellen's just going to die. Are DRX doing it? My God, the Gnar onto 2, the knock-up from Andil. They are selecting their targets, and they are executing. And there is only one that's dead. They sacrifice only Lazy Feel, and they will kill Clear here as they all chase after him. Sponge diving forward, and BNK, what kind of a lead is enough for you to win a series?
I know, it's the question I think we're all going to be asking. Even if they bring us to 3 in this one, the coaching staff is not going to be happy with these last 2 exchanges.
Why are we going to Dragon? Just take Baron, guys.
It's okay to, you know, aggressively go for, you know, position for prio like this. For everyone
Raptor had no idea what to do.
But for everyone except Diablo, who is smote instantly, his Edge of Night is removed, he's ulted by a Vi, and he is just dead instantly. The follow-up here is super easy to play out as everyone is then split up and so much of the damage is gone. And yeah, like you said, Raptor kind of panicking in that moment as well. And the shot calling just, the shot call must have been like, keep prio, but there was no micro of where people should be standing, and Diablo makes a bit of a rookie mistake there and is punished, but isn't protected, as you point out, by his teammates either. And Sponge sees his opportunity, man. From behind, Sponge has had a fantastic game. So many of these picks are why DRX are still in this game.
Yeah, and somehow they are. Like, and you've also got Yukal on like an 11 KDA in this game with a 10-stack Dark Seal. Like, what is going on? The Xerath does generally stand out of harm's way, that is true, but he really has been able to do what he needs to and get a whole lot of DPS down. How do they win a 5-for-1 trade when they're down this much? And I mean, like now, 7K.
And I mean, now they're still down 5,000 gold. And I mean, all it takes is the right setup, all it takes is the right target selection.
Well, Raptor going to get the knock-up onto Sponge here as he ceases and desists. That's Clear diving into the backline. Emperor's Divide is going to pick off Lazy Feel, and this time BNK are actually going to find the team fight that they're looking for. Triple kill from Diablo, and that's what happens if you don't kill him in a second.
Nice attempt there.
The Arcana Pulses are really hurt.
They really do. Nice attempt from Andil to try to set up the bullet time there. Had a really nice angle for his ultimate, but they're just still so far behind. TP here from Vikla will seal the deal. It looks like we're going to 3.
Yeah, looks like it. As Clear is going to push Yukal away. First Nexus turret will go down. And in pure BNK fashion, they are making sure they go the distance in the series as Kellen well and truly dead as that Arcana Pulse lands. But that is going to be them closing this one out, and thank goodness they were able to after a very scary team fight.
Yeah, some big hiccups, and I think that we really need to see this team work on its mid to late game shot calling, but the early game was really phenomenal, and the way they played around the vertical jungle, the top contention at -5. The closest team to them in terms of game score is -2 for DNF, so you really need to close this series out if you're BNK. Otherwise, we'll see you in LCK.
Yeah, that's That's just the long and short of it, unfortunately. Let's do it. Let's jump into game 3 here. Got the draft ready for you as DRX now have that, I guess, air quotes, advantage of the blue side, but when it is the third game, there is so much that's been removed. There is so much navigation required of this draft that it can go either way. I think that it is definitely a whole lot more chaotic, and I'm looking forward to it. Zyro once again going to be banned away, as well as the Skarner, Callista, Cassante, things like this, big ones. As there goes the Galio as well. First time we've actually seen the Gargoyle, so that's going to be the adaptation moving into this game.
I think really fishing for an Aurora first pick here, potentially, with that Galio ban. One of the best answering champions to both the Rumble, actually, and the Aurora, and can be played either mid or top, just like the Aurora can be. So I think that's what they're kind of saying here. The Cassante gets banned with the Skarner, and I think likely we'll see that third ban be the Aurora instead of the Ashe here on red side for BNK, but we'll see. They leave it open. I think it's a huge opportunity here for DRX. Callista's taken away.
Yeah,
so now you got to choose between, Ashe or Aurora.
And either of those options seem pretty frightening to me, but I do believe that DRX probably want to get Lazy Feel on something a little bit more powerful this time around, because last game just wasn't it for the young man. And I think Diablo is going to have a big target on his back this time around. So what is it going to be? The Aurora or the Ashe? That is the question. Yone instead is going to be taken away here. Yeah, exactly.
I feel a lot more confident if I'm B&K with Diablo playing the Ashe if we give the Aurora and hoping to play through that win con. So maybe that's the idea here. And instead of you get a little bit neutered. They'll take the Rumble instead, though, with the Cassante ban.
Didn't notice that this big pick was still left up.
Yeah.
Oh no. B&K, don't. Come on, guys.
Now, they have a chance. I mean, the KR side, you can hear the groans as well.
Yeah. Vikla's laughing, so maybe Clear's laughing, and that's why they're hovering it?
But look, listen.
Yeah.
You have the chance to make history, and with the first Corki win in LCK Cup history, and also get their first win.
Stop it. Stop hovering it, Clear! You're a monster! Oh, no!
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, who's POM then for this series, Wolf? Because I don't think we play the game. I don't think it's a formality we don't need to deal with.
It's
here.
starting to look like you, Cal, but let's let's play it out a little bit. I think, look.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it sad? Well, Sejuani is powerful.
Yone is banned and Jax is unavailable. We're still locking the Sejuani. Now, there's a lot of single target follow-up CC still available in this draft, but most of it is gone, to be honest. So kind of just with the jungle pools thinned out, Raptor feeling comfortable in this pick is what it's looking like here with why they locked that one in. Can work well with Rumble too, and not because his overheat and his autos and the permafrost there. I just mean if you lock somebody down with a Glacial Prison, he puts an equalizer on. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Slowing them all as well.
Ashe Shield is so no-brainer here.
God. So wait, Rumble, Ashe, Braum?
Yes.
Oh God.
Yeah. Well, we kind of saw this one coming, didn't we?
No, but at least B&K got Corki. You're not trading it for nothing, Wolf. Don't be silly.
Now, I hope that Corki is going in the mid lane. But that also really hurts Vikla's opportunity to be kind of the carry guy for this team, because he has had some...
I mean, Vikla has had experience losing on Corki so far.
He has. He's one of the mid losers.
Yeah, he is.
Let's see. We're gonna
That's
find
not
out.
to single him out. Everyone has lost on Corki, guys. This is going to everyone.
Okay, just going mid. I'm very happy to see Diablo on Zeri as well. It's been one of his better picks in challengers. So, they can set up a lot of different cool bottom lanes with this that can help counteract the Braum. I think Lulu is a definite consideration here. Yumi, Kellen's played in the past. That one's probably not my favorite option, but it is an option in this game.
It still exists. See where they do decide to go. Now with some bans coming through, B&K probably wanting to take away some mid lane options. That Aurora is still up and available.
Yeah, less of a big concern, I think, in this draft because they have the Rumble already. But it does work well with Rumble. It's a lot of magic damage, but we'll see. I think it's definitely one that they should consider. They'll ban the Nocturne first. If they had Nocturne and Aurora to close the draft out.
Nocturne, Aurora, Rumble, Ashe, Braum. Oh my God.
Lulu is banned, so that's wise. I thought that was probably the biggest thing Kellen was looking at in this draft.
Yeah, I think Lulu, Renata are probably good bans. Just the Renata because Kellen is so comfortable on it.
And the bailout is just so powerful in this group. So I do agree. That's likely where we'll go. We have seen, sometimes Zeri goes with a Leona, but that's banned in Fearless. So I don't think that's really something that you want to think about.
Paperman ban.
Yeah, that. I mean, it kind of makes sense with like the explosive
A lot of pick
potential.
Lot
yeah,
of pick, yeah,
exactly. Bard, I would have preferred. Yeah, no, I mean, Renata's still pretty good here, I think, since it's left open.
I mean, Zeri doesn't need your magical journey. She has a button that does that anyway.
I wonder if they'll be so bold. Okay. This
Oh
is
God,
they're
doing it.
I was alluding to.
Oh,
it is one of the best
God.
picks, to be honest, I think that's available for this Eri next to the Renata, and they are going to opt into it. Now, Kellen is a great Renata player.
Okay,
Renata's
now.
not great into the draft of DRX.
I know what we need. We need Jungle Braum, Ashe mid, and then Lucian Nami to bring it back. The Lucian Nami, Zeri Yumi, it's going to be so good.
Now, I don't think this has a lot of synergy with the Rumble pick in particular.
I think Master Yi is definitely
I think the Lee Sin is probably the way. Yeah, that's probably the good one
okay,
there.
Sponge. They were having some fun there with some of those hovers. It was definitely good. Oh,
hey.
Wait! Where is it going? Where is everything going?
I mean,
who am I?
Normally, Lee Sin would be going top in a situation like this, but where does the Rumble go then?
Is it
heel mid Rumble?
Rumble?
Now this feels like an angle for a Kennen potentially for me, for clear. The Aurora top though does make sense too, and you know it helps zone this very squishy composition very well. And now Ashe in the bottom lane, you know you can't have like Braum go anywhere but support. Like that's guaranteed.
Yeah, that one was confirmed. It's not funnel meta anymore.
Lee Sin into Corki makes Corki seem really strong here actually. And now if it's top Corki, and he ends up flexing Lee Sin at the top here instead, that could work out, but they're not going to opt for it. So it is just going to be Lee Sin into Aurora.
Well, I'm all about it.
Are you? I'm not really about it myself, actually.
I reckon it's a sign that UCal is feeling himself, you know, and you love to see it. I'm hoping
he was feeling himself on Xerath, you know, in the draft, and he played well. He did play well, but you know, it didn't work in the end, did it?
No, I think things went wrong around him a little bit in that game. However, I do want to say that I'm not trying to defend a Xerath pick. Otherwise, Valdez is going to get very upset with me.
I'm going to get upset with you, but not as upset as Valdez.
Yeah, he would get way more upset.
Look, in League of Legends and in Fearless, I'm all about like, oh, we got the unusual thing. That's really awesome. I want to champion it. Like that's what like the whole point of this is we're supposed to see more flexibility out of players. I don't think this one hits for me though, to be honest. I'm gonna say I think this is high risk. Now high reward. I mean, there's some really great setup here. The sleeps, you know, arrows into equalizers. The level 1 is incredibly powerful. This comp scales though. This comp is real, and I feel like BNK have a great opportunity to get the first win.
I don't think so. They've got Corki. I don't think it's just going to... Sorry, Wolf. Let's jump onto the riff for Game 3. All right. I'm sorry for the dampener, but sometimes we need... Like, oops, there goes gravity. Needs to happen sometimes, you know?
I want to see... Does Vikla go first strike here? Like, how bold is he? What's he looking for?
Oh, he's gone for a slightly different variation on the Corgi, which I'm kind of into. I like that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of comments on Reddit, you know, comparing the skin to the win rate and
yeah,
the Corgi's posterior and yeah, I've seen some comments about that. I've seen people. It's been kind of one of those recurring jokes every time Corgi loses. This will be the 12th game of Corgi. He is currently 0 wins, 11 losses in LCK Cup.
Oh God, what a... Oh God. Oh no. How early is it starting?
Well, I think
okay, there's vision. So it is just going to be a topside start here for Sponge. On vision here for BNK. So I thought that Vikla was just going to die at minute 30 and we're not even going to, like, we won't even give him a chance to play the game.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to pretend like, you know, oh, it's an unusual matchup. Maybe he won't be ready for the Lee Sin mid. Lee Sin is known by everyone so incredibly well, and he has been played mid before.
I remember when Froggen was playing it back in the day, when it was the cool new thing.
Yeah, I just, you know, it's not like Victor's going to get tripped up here by the matchup or anything like that. You know, sometimes we do that little like caster point where like maybe he just won't be that familiar. No, it's Lee Sin.
Is Rascal also on the Korean broadcast today? I thought I saw. No, was he on yesterday?
I think it was yesterday. I don't think.
That's a shame.
He
He is the king of solo lane Lee Sin.
Yeah,
been a really good time to have him.
He was the KT top lane counter to Gnar Lee Sin player. Lee Sin less known to be the counter to Corki, but everything has so far technically been the counter to Corki. Every champion that's been played into Corki has a 100% win rate.
Yeah,
against Corki.
It's done pretty well. And I do think that the synergy between Lilia and Yukao is going to be strong, as Diablo taking a lot of damage will get snared up immediately, has to use the cleanse and the heal, as the early game prowess of this particular lane is not quite hitting the same way the Varus and Elise did.
Sure, and this is like why you drafted the Ashe Braum. You know you're going to have lane dominance basically in any matchup, and Yuumi just using her health to try to mitigate some of that power that there is there, and then attach and try to heal this area back up, try to sustain a little bit, and hope that you can get through those those first few levels where it's very difficult. But it's just an uphill battle, and Diablo is going to lose as a result a ton of farm here. And this is the first time really we've seen like LazyFeel have like the ultimate domination lane, where he's going to be the one who's up on CS. So we'll see how that role suits him here in the LCK Cup.
Yep, certainly looking real good so far, as Sponge is going to be spotted on this ward, but is that going to be enough to actually save Diablo and Kellen here? Diablo with that burst fire does show Sponge that they know where he is. It's okay. Will the Qs land? What are we going to get as they immediately get rid of Kellen? That's a real comfortable one, and they actually drop the aggro so quickly. Oh no, now it is just Zeri by herself, but Raptor is coming up. Vikler is there as well. The Lee Sin's in mid, and Andal is most likely dead. LazyFeel going to give up the ghost. So it's a 1-for-1 in the end, as Sponge will find himself a bowling ball, but remember, Vikler is still here. So a dangerous maneuver. Still, you just walk so much faster than your opponent.
Yeah.
Your Lilia.
A lot of CS lost for Vikla under the turret here, but I don't think he minds too much with how this transpired with the kill being picked up for Diablo. It's not a Zeri moment. I'm not going to certify it, but I will pull the pen out because I'm getting a little bit concerned. But yeah, we do show this.
Yeah.
We do discuss this. We have mentioned this.
This has been something that has occurred Vikla so far today.
He could be the most losing Corki player if he loses this game. He'll pull ahead at 3 losses.
And Kellen could be the most losing Yuumi player as well, as Diablo is going to skate his way out. But that is, good utilization, honestly, of the Yuumi. You just soak a few of these buttons and then attack.
Kellen is a known Yuumi enjoyer. I think it was very sad when she was reworked and, basically nerfed to the ground. I think he's aware of the attached cooldown. He just wanted them to kill him instead of Diablo so that Diablo could then play with the rest of his team here, which is exactly what he does. He's able to secure the kill with one little extendo beam. It doesn't extend, but it extends long enough to secure the kill there. He needs that gold desperately because you can see the CS deficit into this Ashe Braum lane is pretty palpable, but that kill gold means that he's almost dead even in terms of gold. In fact, we'll take a slight lead here with the wave he's catching right now. The Lee Sin has a CS advantage in part due to the fact that he didn't match Vikla's roam. And we'll see how that pick continues to evolve in this game because I'm still not really sold on it, but it hasn't caused any big disasters yet.
Nope. This is not necessarily going the best, as Raptor is going to come down. Permanently frosts Rich a little bit, but otherwise not too much is going to go wrong. As now Sponge moving on over. The Lilia, I think the biggest benefactor of this early game. Yes. She is able to just book it around the map and take whatever she wants. Just a bit stronger than the Sejuani right now. As LazyFeel and Andal just continuing to play it out here, as Andal will give him the door. And soaking a lot of these Winter's Bite procs. Really nicely done from Kellen. But still, I mean, they are going to be pressured away. It's just how it works. So that is going to be the grubs being taken here, all 3 of them for DRX. Yeah. As Sponge just walks up, avoids the Prowling Projectile, which hasn't really been hitting so much here, as Raptor puts the Dragon at 1 health and then just swings his flail around. That is plates going over, though, as DRX almost able to get 2 of them. Yeah, they can. That's so much money. Yeah, I mean, if you can lane swap with Zeri into this matchup, you want to do it every time, but they're, unfortunately not able to escape the Ashe in this case as they match the lane swap, and so he's just having a real rough time.
up
Yeah.
here. Now, in defense of the Zeri pick for Diablo, it's a pick he's known for. May cast or curse him, or bless him.
Oh, yeah, Kellen actually able to block that Winter's Bite really nicely, but the door is a great answer, that bowling ball. Sponge is level 6, only needs 1 auto, and holds it. Wow, that restraint.
Yeah.
Okay, Sponge is going to be able to steal away this camp. I don't know why we're running back, because this is still a scary dive opportunity.
And the longer they stay here, you know, the more is lost. So I guess the idea is let's just keep, you know, Diablo at bay here, try to take away as much farm as possible, but not going to end up committing any further as Raptor is coming.
Yeah, immediate cleanse. It's really, really nice. In comes clear, though, as Andil not going to be able to stand beside Lazy Feel early enough, I don't think, as there's the flash forward. Diablo explodes and takes down the Ashes. There's the bowling ball. And we're getting a bit tired. Watch out, Eep is not even necessary as Sponge is running at Mark 10, looking for clear and for Kellen. Winter's Bite will connect beautifully, and there's the spin. It's going to be a triple most likely, as UCal, I think, is going to be gifted this one. Walks over, just needs a Tempest, does have to flash, as it was a lot of wandering here for the Lee Sin, but now he's online as well.
Okay, wild and wacky game here. They got a lot of gold into Diablo's pocket off of the play, but unfortunately lost more than that. And how do we have to quantify this? I mean, look, he has cleanse. He wants to go in for this play. I thought it was Raptor who was showing up, by the way. I misspoke. It was clear because I saw a glimpse of somebody was appearing there. It was, of course, the Aurora to come here and help set this up. But overextending here, and unfortunately the attempt to block the sleep is failed by Kellen and ends up being a double anyways. And now the Yuumi is just unlocked there. Now, she can still reattach, but with the roam coming up as well from UCal, this is just going to be a dead cat no matter what, as he can just press E. I love this. He's just like,
so funny.
Can't miss this one.
Takes 3 turret shots and has to flash.
Yeah, but worth.
Yeah, still
Now,
gets the money.
I've been trying to make this point about Diablo for a little while, but every time I try to, some crazy action breaks up. Maybe we can finally talk about it. I think Zeri is the type of champion that suits him. He has a ton of experience on it. It's a very high skill stealing type of champion where if your team gives you some setup, you can make some incredible plays. Your late game carry potential is incredibly high. Your damage output is incredibly high. And if you can get to that late game scaling moment, you know, your Corki gets to 2 items before disaster strikes and you find yourself too far behind in the game, you're feeling good. Right now he's 150 gold up on his lane opposition. The problem is that there's more than just the one matchup that we have to look at and consider. The fact that Sponge is so accelerated on a pick that already outfarms Sejuani so incredibly well is going to be making big waves in this game. The Rumble is doing fine in this one. And like somehow Lee Sin hasn't been punished at all and even got a kill early is a little bit concerning.
I feel like UCal has kind of just been like a passenger so far, and we'll see whether we're going to get some information as to how this Lee Sin's going to work as the game goes on.
Yeah, it's like, you know, it's like that one-trick Lee Sin game that accidentally filled mid and then has to, like, play Lee Sin, and you're like, oh, God, but he does okay, and you're like, oh.
And he's also got a really good attitude, like really positive. So the rest of the team sort of rallies around him. Yeah, I can feel that.
Except it's UCal has, like, a pretty good champion pool, especially in this meta. But anyway, he played Lee Sin.
He's playing this on purpose. We know that. And now Andil's going to miss the Winter's Bite. They do find the ulti as Lazy Feel is very dead. But can they get the rest of them out of there? That's the question. It's a double kill. That's a 4-in-1 Zeri.
Zeri moment.
We might be certifying it, Wolf.
I 100% am. 4 kills now. I mean, that's a gold lead you can really feel.
Yep, Sponge is going to be able to walk out with at least one of these, so not going to be giving away a feat of strength, but still, this is dangerous. Oh god, that equalizer placement pretty nice. Is now clear, trying to dance around. Rich finding some angles here as Vikler is almost dead, but he is not the main character. Arrow going to connect onto Raptor. And UCal going to be able to follow that one up really nicely. Sponge coming in, doesn't land the bowling ball, but it doesn't matter. He's going to spin around on top of the Piggy and take down Bristle and Sejuani. As UCal now trying to find an opportunity, but not going to find too much. I still think this is probably good for B&K.
It is.
But DRX still have a gold lead.
They still have a gold lead, and it's spread around, you know, some of these lanes a little bit better, but like, it's really the Lilia that's the big problem, the big lead, and she's very squishy, you know, she's very easy to pick, so if she's just blown up before a team fight happens, that could be huge, but Clear is the one who's in danger first.
Yep, there's the kick, there's the watch out Eat there as well, but Clear is going to survive with the help of Kellen. Vikla able to take down a big shutdown on this Lilia. And I feel like UCal isn't quite getting the value that he's looking for, and now he's taking the turret when he really doesn't want to. Extender beam coming on in there as DRX, they're not going to be distracted. They want to kill the Corki, and they will be able to do so, as Raptor going to be able to grab the second dragon here at the same time.
Yeah, this is, you know, BNK really getting back into this one piece by piece with some of these small mistakes here. And going in like this, I mean, Ando kind of messes up frankly, like almost all of this. And he had such a great game one, and I feel bad to slander him, but that was not the ideal engage he was looking for. Zeri is just so mobile. You know, you think that she's weak early, but she actually skirmishes incredibly well, and so you have to be respectful here. This gets a little bit wild because the equalizer is really nice here from Rich. Vikla is incredibly low. And instead of chasing down kills, they really just want to secure this grub and get out of here, so they don't opt for the team fight. And so as a result, with this arrow coming through, Raptor is left on his lonesome. Luckily for him, Smite is allowed while you're stunned, so he's able to at least secure that one. But over here, things get crazy because this is really Kellen just being Yuumi and pressing a shield button. And, you know, Vikla saying, well, you know, Corki's shred is pretty strong in the early game. And as a result, they do end up getting a shutdown on that Corki. Vikla is, you know, still going to ultimately perish, but, you know, it does end up being a big swing of gold over to BNK with that shutdown onto the Lilia. Still massively ahead over Raptor, but, you know, in terms of what these champions do, the Sejuani is okay being a little bit low eco. It's the Zeri that's very quickly becoming a problem, and it's Diablo who's been the big carry player who's had the best mechanical performances for this team so far this season of LCK Cup. So if he is given the tools to pop off, he just might. And this game is suddenly a lot more interesting.
Oh, well, Diablo's going in. They do find the final chapter as well as Ando gives them the door. That is going to say no to any more aggression. Diablo's still throwing a bunch of these zaps into him, but Ando will be fine. And now Sponge on this Lilia. We'll spot Raptor moving up.
Lazy
just wants to get a crab.
Did have to flash there, so another big follow-up opportunity.
Yeah.
Doesn't have cleanse because he opted for the lane barrier to have more lane dominance there into the Zeri Yuumi. So that means if he's caught by Raptor's ult, for example, with no flash, that is a big angle to just crush a team fight. Because UCal, remember, he's not playing a mage. Like, if that Ashe is down and Lilia's not in position to do damage, the damage just falls off like a cliff for DRX once Lazyfield dies. So that's a very valuable flash.
Really is. And I think that, like, a large reason why I think the Lee Sin is going to be valuable here is he can actually lock down this Zeri, right? Like, Kick Flash can put the Zeri in a position where she's unable to, you know, use all of that mobility, right? Because there's so much AoE on DRX, and if they do get her in range, then she dies very, very quickly. Just have to see whether UCal can execute it.
Yeah, I mean, he can follow a Zeri too if he hits a, you know, Sonic Wave, and then she slides over the wall. He's like, well, I'm still with you. I'm following you right over. So his mobility is incredibly useful, I do agree. And he went Stride Breaker, so, I mean, that's definitely the game plan here.
Just have to see how it's going to work. As DRX just holding onto the mid wave, Sponge clearing out wave after wave. And Lazyfield going to come down and collect this red buff that has been prepared earlier. And look, it's still a 2.5k gold lead. Like, it's decent. DRX have also been able to grab the Feats of Strength as well, as that first turret went down on that top side. And UCal in a side lane is going to be frightening, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's hard to get away from him if he's able to Sonic Wave you, because then he gets on top of you and slows you, and you have to time your Valkyrie really well as Vikla if you're the one who's side laning into him, which was the case until he walked away from it, but will continue to be the lane assignment for now. Herald's up in 10 seconds here. Still no flash on Lazyfield, and so they have to play this very carefully. I think the engage and the setup here for Sponge with flash available is going to be huge. He's sitting on 2 items. He's got his Rift Maker online. He's really the biggest one on the Rift right now, just in general. It's all or nothing for him. If he gets caught or if he's not able to set up that engage, then team fights won't happen the way that DRX would like them to. BNK with a late contest here, trying to kind of pinch Sponge and pull him off.
If they're able to steal this, could be a big deal. Although, I don't know whether Sponge is too worried. Pulling Shelly out at this point in time. Rich going to be moving over. That teleport is going to be invested. Clear, holding onto his for the moment. Immediate cleanse there from Diablo will make Captain Jack happy. But UCal, he just comes over. That's going to help secure this Rift Herald. And Clear now with some time in the bottom lane. Might be able to get something done as well. As Ando and Lazyfield moving back over. Door value is big.
That was a really
that is going to save the turret.
great way to set up on that objective by BNK, knowing that Sponge has to be the one to start it, but he's not a tank, he's very vulnerable, and he's also kind of the engaged tool, so kind of force a fight there where Rich has to TP in and then grab a bottom side turret, because winning the fight was going to be pretty tricky, but trying to apply that pressure and just kind of say, we get a turret out of this, that's what you're going to get with the Rift Herald anyways. If they get mid turret, that's more valuable than the bottom turret, or the outer there that BNK get, but still I feel like taking a pretty risky situation and turning it into an optimal one very carefully there, very measured from BNK, the kind of plays we aren't always seeing from them in these really critical objective fights. Now they have more control over the bottom side where the Dragon is spawning. Infernal Drake, its Infernal Soul would be Soul Point for them. Pretty massive. They have time to reset here. Really well played for BNK. Remember, their Zeri is scaling incredibly well. She's not there yet, even though she has 4 kills, and did finally take a CS lead. Doesn't have that second item just yet. Close to it, is going to back and get it. This fight is maybe the first time where BNK actually just kind of stand up and say, we're ready to actually go toe-and-toe with this team. Doesn't have a robust front line. A little bit late to the party, though, is Diablo. He does have his Runins, but he needs to get here very, very fast.
Yep. Just went back and got that Hurricane. His clear is on a really long flank. I just don't know whether he's going to even possibly get here in time. Yeah, they're just going to trade for the turret. Raptor was thinking about a possible steal opportunity, and they're not even going to be able to get any meaningful damage onto this mid lane outer turret as well. Yukal turns up. He's going to try and push clear away. And Thunder Sky almost done here for Yukal as well by the looks of things. So the Lee Sin going to be able to really duel.
My biggest concern is that there's so many eggs in, to be fair, it's in 2 baskets, but 2 fairly vulnerable baskets in LazyFeel and Sponge here for DRX.
Ooh, Vikla diving forward. Shelly gets amongst it. And Kellen bopping, blocking. And that's still a charge. So nicely done.
But no turret. So, traded a Herald for a turret and no Herald turret secured by DRX means BNK trading up on this one. The gold lead still there for DRX. But again, all of it on Lilia. And if she's caught, or can't set the engage, there's just not a front line, there's not a tank. Like, they have to win fights almost instantly, and then Ashe can clean up by, winning a 5v4. She still does a lot of damage, but you're going to have to get on top of Diablo. He's going to have Cleanse back up here momentarily. LazyFeel does not have that summoner, so his flash is always so valuable. It's a really close game here.
It is. The thing that I'm worried about for BNK is the fact that Sponge has a 2-level lead. He's ahead by like 12 camps or something absurd like that. And still doesn't have Boots 2 yet. And so the feats of strength value not quite there. And once he moves to strength of feet, as it were, this guy is going to be an absolute monster. You can see already has the most gold in the game. A little bit more than Diablo, who is the next thing that everyone needs to be worried about in this game. It's very clear who the protagonists are on both sides.
Absolutely. And I think with Lucid Showcase, and we'll probably might even have it during the break of the Mad movie, what he showcased in a kind of a closer game, a significantly closer game on Lilia. You could see what it could do when you're just doing okay in a game. That was when he really got the kills and popped off in his particular D+ game. From this far ahead, you have so much agency on the Lilia, and he may even be able to just opt into an early arm guard here with some of that additional gold he actually has picked up. He did buy the Merc Treads, now does have his upgraded boots you were talking about just moments before. If he can get an arm guard before this next Dragon, not sure if he'll be able to afford it, but if he can, that would be so huge for him, because he has really all the power. Like I said, he is the main character here for DRX, and how this next fight goes may just be what kind of really tips the scales in one direction in this game. And Valdez has been doing such a great job. Every time we get host Valdez, he always does like a little summary of how the game went right before he introduces his co-host. I don't think clean will be a word he uses to describe this game for sure, but it has been interesting. And we're about to really, I think, find out where the scriptwriters are going with it.
Yeah. Sterix actually completed here for Yukal. A little bit more team fighting power for the Lee Sin. Really wants to be able to get into that backline to kick a Zeri. That's what he needs to do. Let's see whether he can actually nail it. And as LazyFeel holding onto the wave, going to be able to keep that mid-outer turret alive. Wave shoved in here on the top side of the map, though, does give DRX some space moving over towards Arakan, which is the currently focused objective. Handle moving in, does need to be careful warding, but with Sponge in the area, he is the best bodyguard that this guy could ever hope for.
It's so tense. Remember the stakes. People watching at home, BNK need this win so desperately. This is basically their tournament life on the line.
Yeah. And now, I mean, it's all resting on this very young player's shoulders as well. Diablo is fresh into the LCK this season. He's been playing with BNK for his entire career, right? He was sort of their new prospect that they were leveling up in Challenger. And now Yukal's rotating over. He's going to get immediately collapsed on by Raptor, but not going to get stunned up or anything like that until now as the Glacial Prison comes in. But going to last for very long at all. Does have that tenacity, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, one more minute until that dragon spawns.
No, he doesn't. Okay. Just,
Oh, I thought you were talking about Sponge.
No, no, I was talking about Yukal.
Yeah.
Just didn't seem to worry too much about the Glacial Prison whatsoever.
He will have them soon, but doesn't have them for this dragon fight. And also 2 amp tomes picked up for Sponge. Does not have enough money for the really expensive arm guard. You know, he has a huge lead, but it's still not enough to price that item in to this team fight, which is going to be, I think, the first step to whichever one of these teams is going to take victory here, depending on how this all shakes out. Diablo also backing, once again, right before this critical objective, picks up a BF sword, so that's a lot of additional stats for him in this fight. Keep talking about these 2 players specifically because they hold so much power.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Yukal looking for an opportunity here. Clear. That is not the face check you wanted. Not able to get to the wall in time, and that is just a barbecued Aurora. LazyField now fighting Vikler, and he's got Andal there in front of him. The door makes the Corki completely worthless, and they just get away with that pick on the top laner. 30 seconds until Clear can teleport back into a potential fight.
Now, I mean, Diablo's really doing a great job of zoning LazyField out. He's at half health, so DRX not able to necessarily comfortably take this dragon at that time, but I mean, if this Lilia was less fed, maybe she wouldn't be able to do it. They're just going to give it up, though. Vikler's not going to TP into a fight, and they're on a 2 Drake lead, but I think they really needed to hit this timing window specifically, and this is kind of what Wadid's been alluding to when we've been talking about this team. Just, I mean, we're like, why face check that Tribe Rush anyways? Your AD carry is miles away, and this fight is so important. Everything else was so well set up, trying to come in and set up for this fight, just like the last one. They were very late. Remember, they had the 2-item spike for Diablo, but he's not able to get the dragon fight in time. This time, Clear's way out in no man's land and gets picked. They didn't even get to have that said team fight. And BNK dropping the ball in terms of shot calling once again, and
thinking too far ahead, I think, is what it was for Clear. Like, trying to get into a good flanking position, thinking that they have a monopoly on the vision. And there was no ward in there, but unfortunately there was a rumble. And so Rich able to get that full combo off. Clear just a little bit late on the reaction. I think died with flash. And
yeah, he did.
It's just not what you want to see. So Diablo will be able to pick up this wave very comfortably. Static Shiv and Runans will be able to do that for you.
I mean, there's a world where, you know, Otacon, excuse me, is with the Runans and Aurora ult and Zeri ult, the circle area here for BNK and how powerful it is if DRX try to stick on Otacon, just not going to happen. I don't think they can actually start this, no way. They do have 2 Infernal Dragons of extra stats on top of what's still been, you know, 2,000 to 3,000 goldie basically this entire game. Just need to be so careful, though, about anybody getting caught.
Yep. Sponge is keeping up with solo laners as far as farm is concerned as well. This Lilia is so big. Same items as Rich, which is kind of funny.
There's a lot of burn.
Yep. And there's a lot of bowling balls. Things being thrown around that you have to avoid. And Rich able to move down towards his bottom lane if we would like to. Diablo certainly going to be the target here if they can find him.
I think the best way to play this out for DRX at this point is very carefully just maintain vision control. You know this area scaling is a problem, but don't overthink.
Oh, God. Oh, no, not again, not again, not again. Oh, okay, well, he is going to be able to ult onto the wall, but the bowling ball in position. The arrow has to be flashed. This time he'll press the button. But, man, that position from LazyField to throw that arrow, that was from mid lane, right? He had to predict. Beautifully done.
I think he might play Gradius. He was dodging everything. He was playing full hell. Maybe he plays Toho, I don't know. But either way, he's going to be able to get away here. These are the kind of things I'm talking about, though, for DRX. You have pick potential if there's no vision. Twice you've been able to punish Clear. Even though he didn't die this time, you get his flash, you push him out. He should have, by rights, died there. He played that really well. You got his ultimate, too. Play around vision, because team fights get really hard, but if you can constantly maintain the vision control, you have pick potential with your arrow. You have the angle of, you know, Sponge comes from a flank angle really fast. He's super incredibly fast on this Lilia and lock somebody down and win a 5v4 fight. I think that's the best way for DRX to play the long late game here. Just play it around vision. Don't overextend. Look for picks instead. And that's kind of what they're doing here so far.
Well, Yukal going to get a kick onto Vikler here. Closes the gap. Vikler just sort of standing his ground as Yukal may need some help. There is going to be a flash out from Vickler. He thinks that he'll be able to survive, but the answer is no. And Clear, that's not the teleport you wanted to go for, my friend.
Close,
that was not it.
Not even close. Unfortunately, Clear is really choking on this one, and that's Otacon, I think. That's just it. I mean,
God.
0 for 3 on this one, unfortunately. Clear in huge moments, and they're going to give a teleport to come through to reinforce this. I mean, Diablo alone, I don't think can get this done in this fight.
Yeah, Bowling Ball moving over towards the Baron here as the door is given to Diablo. Fair bit of value, knock up onto Raptor as LazyFeel is just throwing as many arrows into him as possible, even the big one as Yukao gets stunned up for quite some time. And they're just buying time, right? Now Otacon is in, and now they're not really too worried about dying. Yukao with flash available, but still needs to wait a little while for that Dragon Rage kick to be up and available.
DRX are playing this game out so well. There's a Zeri that's such a problem. Yeah, they've been able to maintain vision control, keep putting pressure on, constantly keeping BNK recalling at the worst possible times, never fighting them in a 5v5. The Zeri was accelerated. The Zeri got 4 kills, but has done very little meaningful damage in actual fights because DRX is just not letting them have said fights. And the tempo game here for DRX is absolutely insane. And once again, they're just shut down. Topside making that pull onto Vikla. Then, I mean, look, this is, up until this moment, it's kind of like, okay, this is a big problem. Vikla's going to get picked. But the teleport is so late. Like, he's guaranteed dead by the time you're there. Look at the mid lane. The AD carry, your AD carry and your jungler are not even close to this location. So you're just teleporting into your death, unfortunately, in this situation. Yeah, and it was just not the right call.
Even without the teleport to come in from Rich at the same time, it would have been pretty doomed as there's a kick. And Diablo is able to get himself out of the way. Arrow going to sail by majestically as well. LazyFeel looking for the opportunity as Vikla will finally turn up. What?
That's a lot of big...
That's a lot of burnness.
Yes. With the Rumble and the Lilia, who already has kind of some burn built in, with the Leandries too.
I mean, Raptor was very low, but I thought he kind of flashed out.
Yeah, I thought he was okay too, but... Maybe we'll get a little closer look in the replay. No equalizer used by Rich in that situation either. Wasn't even really there, I guess. Anyway, that's going to be sole point here for DRX. 3 Infernal Dragons in a row for this insanely fed Lilia.
That is so much damage.
Like, click on her and let me see that AP.
Yeah, that's it's becoming a very large number. Diablo and Kellen, they're going to go back home. And there is an Infinity Edge on the Zeri, but we're going to have a look at this fight one more time.
Okay, now let's see.
So Raptor does go down exceptionally low.
Yeah, Rich, like, he's using his Flame Spitter, Bowling Ball hits. Rich with another Harpoon, double Harpoon.
And then Raptor flashes out of the way of that, so the kick isn't going to be a problem.
Oh, the Bowling Ball! Oh, God!
No.
I didn't see that! Oh, man!
Sponge threading the needle, whether he meant it or not. That's very impressive.
Oh, God.
That's, yeah, 7-1 and 2 now.
He has a full Zonias he just fought. Now he's got a blasting one on top of it.
Yeah, he's got more farm than Rich. He's very rich. 5,000 gold ahead. In fact, the majority of the gold lead is just Sponge.
What
this game.
Tragedy this game ended up being for BNK. Just outrun on the map. And this Lilia pick, I was questioning it. The Lee Sin pick, I was questioning it. But they are playing to their win cons, and they're playing the tempo incredibly well. Now, looking to potentially start up a Baron.
Yeah, well, they definitely have. We'll see whether this ruse is cunning enough.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this.
There's the bowling ball. The Baron's going down very slowly as LazyFeel not going to get found by the prowling projectile as Diablo wants an opportunity here, but Andal with the stand beside me is going to be absolutely fine. The rest of DRX all just moved back towards this Baron that wasn't released. LazyFeel gets over there for the DPS and they're chasing Rich for some reason as the arrow is going to sail down, nails the jungler, and the Baron just goes down. And he was nowhere near, but still managed to hit him with the arrow, which is kind of cute. It's like you're doing your homework when you don't even really need to. As the knock-up on Vikla comes in. They're looking for a little bit more, though. Final chapter does come down. There's the equalizer trying to split up this fight. My God, the amount of damage is absurd. And the last little bit to come on through there as Sponge goes golden.
Sleep.
There's some sleeps as, oh no, this is Lilia's territory now. And Yukao, he'll come on over. And yes, Diablo is pretty strong, but now he has no health and not a lot of opportunities. As Blastcone will be able to help him. Oh dear. Sponge runs a little bit quicker here than Diablo. and should be able to chaperone him to
Yeah.
wherever he wants to go. It is still hard for him to get in range, especially without that Q being stacked up.
Diablo
Let's
has
see.
Flash and the shield from the Yuumi.
Yeah, he's actually on the Gronk just to make sure that he can run as quickly as possible.
Hey, look at those little infernal shards on the ground. Speed them out of there. He lives. That's the end of the good news.
Yeah, because that has also bought enough time for Rich to take down an inhibitor turret on this top side of the map. He'll be able to take the inhib as well, as Raptor not going to be able to defend that, especially with the Baron. So B&K lose out on a big fight. They lose out on a free Baron that DRX just claimed for themselves, and it's all because of how massively huge Bambi is this game.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm so sad that you mentioned that because Sponge is my POM.
Yeah.
And my quote was going to be like, I wish I watched this version of Bambi growing up.
You still need to do it. You still need to do it.
Yeah, maybe I'll have a better quote, but that's kind of where I'm at right here. Closer trying to make a heroic play, but unfortunately, again, kind of it just isn't enough. You know, I don't want to say he really whiffed this one because he had to make something like that happen in this case, but he's just unsuccessful again. This is going to be a really tough series to recover from for being.
Oh yeah, Arrow going to connect onto Diablo as Raptor has that flank angle. Final chapter connecting. As all right, will they be able to survive? They take down both the jungler and the AD carry. Vikla manages to get a little bit of redemption for Corki, but it's not going to put a W in that column, unfortunately. It is 0-12 territory we're heading to as Rich shows them the flamethrower, shows them the scrappy shield, and then just destroys cats and dogs next to the base. DRX gonna be able to take down the inhibitor turret in the mid lane. They'll take the inhib as well, and I don't think we're gonna get to an Infernal Soul because I don't know whether the Nexus will last long enough for that one to be relevant.
I don't think so. Tragic end really here to BFX. B&K here in what was a very winnable series, but ultimately fell too short here.
We know they have it in them. That's the biggest issue, right?
I know.
Equalizer making sure they're all slowed up. They're never going to get over to this Nexus, and DRX will dispatch of B&K. The Corki win rate stays exactly where it is, and Lee Sin mid is now 100% win rate here in the LCK. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
I don't know whether it actually did anything, really, that game, to be honest, because Sponge was kind of just the main character. And you can see Yukal, having a bit of a chat with Sponge. He's like, yeah, man, we were great together. And they were.
DRX,
but it was mainly Lillian.
DRX's piloting of dealing with that Fed Zeri in this game.